Utilities Board public meeting for April 19th, 2022 is called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Jennifer, roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan.
Here.
John Foreman.
Present.
Julie Rivera. Here. Ralph Miller.
Present.
Randy Niemeyer.
Present.
Colleen Scheven. Here. Richard Sharp.
Here.
I am present. Chris Salavis.
Present.
David Austin.
Present. And again, this is a utility board meeting, the council meeting will follow this.
Under old business, number one, ordinance proposal for Havenwood well field improvements. Chris, you want to?
Yeah, so this was on a previous utility board agenda. There has been a change of scope. We're changing the voltage at the Havenwood well field, and so we're going up in voltage, trying to make all the well fields uniform, so that way we only have to order a certain voltage of equipment, and things can be uniform across the utility. You have the quote here in front of you. It's just under $60,000. We were originally going to do one, I believe, one pump at Parish, one pump at Havenwood, but since we're changing the voltage, that would leave us with only one pump at Havenwood, which doesn't make sense, so it would be more prudent for us to do the two at Havenwood right now instead of one and one. And then Neil can fill in for the technical.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. And one of the benefits of that is then, once those upgrades have been made, some additional upgrades at the Parish facility can be performed that are not only pump and motor related, but piping related internally within that building. So it gives you redundancy and the benefit of having higher voltage at the Havenwood station.
Thank you. Any further questions for Chris or Neil? Do we have a motion to approve the Ortland proposal for Havenwood well field improvements for $59,950?
I'll make the motion to approve for Havenwood.
Motion by Colleen,
I'll second.
second by Julie. Roll call, Jim?
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Julie Rivera.
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Number two, all services proposal for replacing the generator at Robbins Nest Pump House. Chris?
So this is a proposal, I believe, was also on the agenda last time with the Ortman proposal. This is for a Cummins generator at, which should read Robbins Nest Pump House.
I think I said that, didn't I, or did I?
No, it says
It's,
next.
I know
it's
what it
wrong
says.
on the agenda.
Yeah, I know what it says.
Robin with two B's.
And it's Robin's next.
It's Robbins Nest on the agenda.
Everybody's,
We understand. You're all meeting.
oh, yeah, they're all spelling experts all of a sudden.
And that's $69,500.
It is, yes, it is.
Correct, just under 70,000. And
Anybody have
this
any
is also, this would also, the goal here is to make the generators throughout the utility uniform as well, so they can be moved as needed.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions? Do we have a motion to approve the all services proposal for replacing the generator at Robbins Nest Pump House at a cost of $69,500?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Ralph,
I'll second.
second by Julie. Thank you, Julie. Roll call, Jim?
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Julie Rivera.
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes. Motion carries.
One quick question for Tim, I guess. The old generator, are we able to utilize it anywhere else, or is it shot?
It's shot. We've been, every time that thing's going into test mode and every time it is run, we've had some other type of electrical problems created by it, so we want nothing to do with it. I mean, it's.
Yeah, I just thought maybe if it was something non-critical, like
Yeah, it's
clubhouse or something like that, do we refurbish it?
Well, it's a 480 generator anyway, so it's really not
Okay.
good for anything else. It's
Thank you.
at the end of its time.
Motion carries 7-0. Number three, Lakeview Business Park Water Recapture Agreement. Mr. Austin?
As you're aware, the law has changed a bit, and we're reforming our agreement documentation with the developer representatives. We're still negotiating those terms.
So a deferral would be in
That
order
would
on
be
that?
appropriate.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion by Bob to defer,
Second.
second by Ralph. Roll call, Jen?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera? Yes. Randy Neemeyer?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven? Yes. Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Under new business, the approval of the minutes from February 15th, 2022 and March 15th, 2022. Motion to accept and waive the reading of these minutes.
I'll make the motion to accept and waive the reading of the minutes.
Motion by Colleen,
I'll second.
second by Julie. Roll call, Jen?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera? Yes. Randy Neemeyer?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven? Yes. Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Notice of award for East Side Transmission Water Main Project. Chris, you wanna-
Yeah, so this is the notice to award for this project in the amount of $2,700,400. And this is for the Utopia Water Main, which is being paid largely out of the American Rescue Plan Act money.
Oh, is this, okay, was Utopia?
Or, sorry.
That's all right.
Utopia is my agenda, but it is that one in particular that you said.
East Side Transmission, that was H&G Underground.
Sorry. That one is,
$1,130,590
yes, so,
dollars and 31 cents.
correct.
That's it exactly.
And that's being paid out of the SRF money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion to accept the bid from H&G Underground Utilities for the East Side Transmission Water Main Project at $1,133,591.31?
So moved.
Motion by Randy, second.
Second.
Second by John. Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera? Yes. Randy Neemeyer?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven? Yes. Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes, motion carries 7-0.
Mr. President,
Yes.
will this be one of those capital improvement projects that you would seek a schedule and a identification of cost expenditures against portions,
Absolutely.
similar to what we've been talking about with
Yes,
the...
exactly what we've been talking about, yeah. I agree.
So, that'd probably be fit into your work, Chris, unfortunately, but
Yep.
Thanks, Dave.
thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Notice of award for the East Side Elevated Water Storage Tank.
This one is the notice to award. The project is $1,863,000, and it is to Cadwell Tanks in Louisville, Kentucky.
Thank you, Chris. Do we have a motion to accept the bid from? So moved. Motion by Randy, second by? Second. By Ralph. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera? Yes. Randy Neemeyer?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven? Yes.
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Number 4, notice of award for the Utopia Subdivision Water Main Project. Chris has already covered this. Do we have a motion to accept the bid from Gatling Plumbing?
So moved.
Motion by Randy, second.
I'll second.
That's for the amount of $2,700,400.
Thank you. Roll call, Jen.
Who was the second?
Julie.
Julie.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera? Yes. Randy Neemeyer?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven? Yes. Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Nice Construction Engineering Services proposal for the West Side Sanitary Sewer Interceptor Project. Neil, you want to?
Yes, Mr. President, this is the proposal for construction engineering for the West Side Sanitary Interceptor Project 1. We have a pre-construction meeting that was held Thursday of last week with the contractor LGS, and we are proceeding on the items listed within that proposal. And the proposal not to exceed fee based on the rate submitted is 6.2% of the construction cost of that project. Any questions?
And that makes the number,
$241,650.
Correct.
that's what I thought. Thank you. Do we have a motion to accept Nice Engineering Service proposal for $241,650 covering the West Side Sanitary Sewer Interceptor project?
So moved.
Motion by John, second by Ralph. Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera? Yes. Randy Neimeyer?
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan? Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I just had a quick note.
Yes.
We went to discussion on it. Can you please make sure you keep an eye on LGS?
Absolutely.
The history's not the greatest here, so.
Yeah, they have had challenges in the past. There's been a change in ownership of the company since some of the past issues, but since that change, the issues that we've seen in the past have not come back up with the new
Okay.
ownership and management. But absolutely,
Make sure
yes.
that doesn't happen again.
Hey, yeah, it's amazing, tonight's utility board meeting, the amount of dollars we just invested on behalf of taxpayers into infrastructure. It's
That's great,
somewhat
Dave.
mind-boggling, but the future is happening as we speak, so, proper services is going to be, super important moving forward. And
What was it, 3.9 million of it through SRF and the other, or was it 3 million through SRF and 2.9 through the ARPA funds? I can't remember.
The ARPA, yeah, that was the ARPA.
We had 2.8 million.
2.8, yeah.
Need some help with that math, Randy?
Listen, fire chief math is not.
Yeah, yeah.
We're talking about
Say,
millions
I'd
of
be glad to
dollars.
give you my service.
But I appreciate the offer.
That is small.
No, that's what John was saying, this is a big evening. I'm very proud to be a part of the group here that we've worked towards this. I remember when the first year I was on the council here, the water utility was in its infancy. It was in the red. We were struggling like crazy to get that little engine off the ground, and now we're building another tower and spending about $6 million on projects that are going to help the next generation. So it's exciting to be a part of things like this. This is why we do this stuff. So, pretty good moment tonight. Appreciate being a part of it.
Thank you, Randy. Chris, you want to talk about the Spectra Tech?
Yeah, so
Not on
I
the agenda?
ask if you could amend the agenda to include, we have a quote from Spectra Tech, United Rentals, and Serenity Environmental Services. The town had contracted with.
There's always one of them in the meeting.
Please silence your cell phone, please.
keep going. I gotta get some out.
The town had contracted with Spectra Tech to do manhole rehabilitation, I believe 6 manholes in particular. They did the first 2 without issue. I believe it's the remaining 4 require some additional, I believe they're drop pipes and overflow bonnets. The work there from Spectra Tech would be $8,800 for that equipment. They also quoted here the bypass of $26,525. In talking with Tim and Neil, we believe we can do that portion in-house, which
We're
is,
bypassing the bypass?
we have to bypass the pipe so that, we have to bypass the sewer pipe, so that way the gentleman can do the work to rehabilitate the manholes
Thank you.
and install the drop pipes that are quoted here. And the 2 following quotes behind that, United Rentals and Serenity Environmental Services, is for equipment that would be necessary in order for our staff to do the bypass. They're, I believe it's, 3 vac trucks and some holding tanks for the affluent. That would total, the first one is $3,460 from United Rentals, because we do not need the berm that's quoted there on the paperwork in front of you. And Serenity Environmental Services, that rental for the vac trucks would be $13,500. So we're saving about roughly $10,000, not including man hours on our side, from Spectra Tech's quote to do the bypass.
Thank you, Chris.
And we're asking for acceptance.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda and And I'm gonna just couple that with the presentation of the agenda item as was just presented by our town manager. So that's a motion to not just amend it, but to also present the item.
Thank you, Randy. Motion by Randy,
I'll second.
second by Ralph. Roll call, Jim?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julia Rivera?
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve as submitted and reported on by the town manager, the project as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Randy, second by Colleen. Roll call, Jim, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julia Rivera?
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes, motion carries 7-0.
If I could add too, that work comes with a 20-year warranty as well.
Okay, great.
Good.
Thanks, Chris. Written report, fund report, treasurer, Jennifer?
The cash and expenditure reports were sent out to you all last week. And after a little bit ago, I will continue working with Chris and with Sue for updated schedules and making sure we're all on the same page with all of our many ongoing projects.
Very important. Thank you, Jennifer. Consultants and staff, Nice Engineering report.
Thank you, Mr. President. For Westside Sanitary Sewer Interceptor, Project 1, we discussed earlier, that's intended to begin early May. Westside Sanitary Interceptor Project 2, we are proceeding with the completion design. We're coordinating with the Health Department on some septic location issues, and we've had very good response from them, and we anticipate we'll stay on track with that, given their schedule for providing us that information. And then we'll proceed to completing design, going forward with the IDEM permitting process, and then be ready to bid this project in the late fall, as we did with Project 1. Eastside Sanitary Sewer Inspection and Update. Chris had mentioned that's part of what's being completed in terms of manhole rehabilitation, and then the contractor in situ form is also proceeding on their work for the lining rehabilitation for that. We hope to have that done in the next 60 to 90 days, but we will provide routine updates as those projects are completed and they proceed on that work. The SSES update for the Sanitary Sewer Evaluation Survey. We met with Tony and staff 2 weeks ago. They're adding additional meters, and those should be in either later this week or first of next. And we've identified manholes for rehabilitation, similar to what the Spectre Tech is working on as part of that project on the east side for the west side on the main Lowerman interceptor to give us additional de facto capacity through the elimination of inflow and infiltration on the inspections that we've seen, not only from outside contractors, but from your staff as well with their equipment and providing us detailed video inspections for that. Any questions?
Thank you, Neil. Any questions?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Director of Operations,
I have nothing. Chris took care of my stuff, and we've just been trying to get everything, keeping everything moving along that's going on, so, and we're keeping our head above water, going that direction.
thank you, Tim. County Attorney,
The town system development charge rate proceeding is nearly concluded. The last hearing was held within the last 2 weeks in Indianapolis on the submission of stipulation by the town with the OUCC. We anticipate a ruling and an order or opinion of the administrative law judge between July 13th and August 1st. Once we have that order in hand, we'll have new tariffs
okay, very good. Any
related
questions?
to system development charges.
Thank you, David. Town Council President report.
I had a meeting with a gentleman from Telemon Corporation. They are a solar energy corporation, and what they are specializing in right now is the installation of solar panels on lift stations. They just did a really big one, 120 horsepower lift station in Griffith. That's going to pay Griffith back in about 6 years, and at that point, their energy is basically paid for from that point forward by the solar panels. So with all the upgrades we're doing on the sewer system, this might be an opportunity as we tackle some more lift stations to take a look at adding $60,000 or $70,000 of project cost to a lift station, but having that long-term, energy savings, for something like that. I mean, in these sorts of applications, I think that solar energy and things like that have a really good, sustainability, but, I'm always skeptical, with some of these things, but it sounds like based on the reputation here and some of the homework I've done, their product is solid, and, they're doing these installations all over the Midwest right now. So it's something that I'd like to have the town manager and director of operations communicate with, Mr. Breeden, and at least get a dialogue going to figure out if this is something we want to implement into our capital planning.
We only have about 30 lift stations, which is actually pretty high for most communities.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we
Because
could,
of the contour of the town,
yeah, the beautiful hills that we have do create difficulties for our,
formed by the glaciers.
yeah. We'll work on it. We'll see what we can
We
identify.
still have to have a backup generator to solar though, wouldn't we? It depends, some of those backup generators actually have a battery backup generator also. Like the new solar systems that are put in these individual houses have a cell that they collects the energy, and it's an inverter cell, and then when the power goes out, they have 22 hours, 35, depending on the size of the battery, you have that much backup power.
A lot of it, John, is gonna depend on the size of the lift station,
Yeah,
whether or not.
the average.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only question I would have is, did they have to put in a large solar field to achieve that, or? do they
These
have
solar
something
panels
that
now are so compact,
They're making something
Yeah.
smaller that,
I don't know if, I'm not a,
because most of our lift station locations, we don't have a lot of excess.
it doesn't take up a lot of space. They're able to put these on a lot of different sorts of utility infrastructure, and they can generate a lot of energy in smaller spaces now. So I provided you with the email if you want to reach out to Bruce sometime, you get a chance to get a meeting together and just start to put together, maybe see if this is an opportunity for us to save some money long term.
Absolutely.
Very good, thank you, Randy. Number 8, the JMOB report, do you have something, Chris?
Yeah, so staff met today, this morning, for the JMOB to go over the Lowell's proposal for the project at the wastewater treatment facility. We have a memo from their engineer, Wessler. Neil and Tim was slightly late to that meeting.
No.
Ed participated as well. If you guys remember, about a year or more ago, the two towns committed to doing what was estimated to be about a $2 million project. They bid it out. It came back at just under $3.1 million. They went to the table with the lowest bidder for that to do some value engineering, and there was some eliminations in the project to the tune of about $471,000, and that brought the price down to $2.586007, which is on page 3 that you have there. There's a map of the project at the end. What was originally going to take place, and Neil stopped me when I start to get crazy, was they were going to take the pipe out of the ground, replace it with a brand new pipe, and add a pump station at the very beginning where the holding basin is. The pipe currently that moves the material from the holding basin to the headworks facility is only operating at 50% efficiency. When it was constructed, they did not put clean-out pipes or valves into the giant pipe, so there's no way to camera the line to see if there's a blockage, and there's no way to clean out the blockage if it's identified. So they've, after bidding out the project as replacing that line and adding the lift station, they've removed the lift station. They're going to use the same line, and they're going to add 3 manholes in order to do clean out and cameraing, in order to facilitate proper flow. And then at the very beginning at the headworks, the pipe goes down to an 8-inch pipe, and they're going to eliminate that 8-inch pipe and make it a 12-inch pipe. The entire line itself is 12 inches up until you hit the basin where it's 24, and the headworks were at 8, so it has a natural pinch off that they want to eliminate at the end of the line. And they believe that this is the most efficient, budgetarily efficient path forward.
Okay.
I would say, Chris, again, represented it very well there. We looked at a project through the engineer for the JMOB through Wessler. That was a project that came back incredibly high, which we've seen in most bid projects lately. And working with Bowen and Pat, their engineer, came through with some value engineering options, and we reviewed those today, and we received that memo late this afternoon, 3, 4 o'clock, and I think the general consensus is the agreement is a reduction in the cost of that project of $471,000, and providing still the value of being able to drain back the basin through the headworks does make sense, but we would obviously want to report this to you, and then Chris could request a special JMOB meeting to consider that through your JMOB members.
So that would be, as Neil said, the request from this report would be understanding that both towns would need to participate 50-50 as per the agreement on the additional cost, which is $586,000 and $586,007, and then
Which we're responsible for 50% of that.
which we'd be responsible for 50% of that, so roughly $250,000 additional to the $1 million that we already agreed that we're going to participate in. And then if so, we would work to schedule a JMOB meeting in order for the JMOB to author or award the contract.
Right.
Right now, the prices are being held by the Bowen Engineering, who is going to do the work.
Neil, how many linear feet are we talking?
Unfortunately, I don't have that with me because what they sent was 7 pages of 8.5 by 11.
Right.
And when I went to print those out, that last page was larger than the map behind you.
Gotcha, so
Um,
deep size or
You're
sea
probably
size?
probably 1,500 feet minimum.
Okay.
But I hate to give you an answer, John, because
No,
I just don't have that with
Just
me.
an idea, when you look at this map, there's nothing, it's not to scale, so quarter or eighth a mile. Right. And of that original $2 million, the generator's been upgraded, right, and then the screen, whatever that other.
The UV disinfectant, which is, I believe, being required now by IDEM.
But that stuff has already been moved, that's still included in that original scope of that.
Yeah, I believe that's already been awarded and
Right, it's already
moving
part of
forward.
that $2 million.
Chris, you trust our partners down there a little bit?
I'll trust him on this.
I have a question, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman. I've been speaking with our local legislators about, with what we're doing at the Lowell plant, we're adding more and more pieces to this thing, and we're doing more and more improvements, and both communities are growing quickly. I think we're getting close to this point here where we need to look at doing some things a little different. Senator Niemeyer and Rep. Aylesworth both think that they could help us get the IDEM permits that we would need to build our own plant. It's very expensive to build a plant, but what my question is if we do something like that, this capital investment we make into the Lowell plant, is there any redemption of any of that capital investment as far as like a sale of assets, or is this just dissolved into the old plant we start over?
No, you have nothing in your agreement, your original agreement as amended. And I've heard this question asked before. If there is to be a consideration, you will need to calculate what that cost is in your rate.
Bless you.
And you will likely need to pay the ongoing monthly operating related to that plant. Not the entire thing, but the capital improvement component of it, you would be required to pay, so, and I've seen capital financing runs made with those calculations.
Yeah,
Because of the contract.
I know the numbers today look a little daunting, but as the community continues to grow and we continue to invest in infrastructure, is our money better spent in our own piece of infrastructure that we can manage and grow with? Not to say that Lowell's not a good partner, but they're gonna face the same thing we are with this plan, where they're gonna run out of real estate. You know, there's only so much you can do to it. And so I think for both communities, we need to be looking at the future here. It's not the immediate need, but we're putting a lot of money into these sewer projects, and I sure wouldn't want to see us just put a bunch of money into a plant that we then basically just said, here it is, and good luck, and we got to start over.
10 years ago, nobody would have thought we'd have had tonight here, and the $10 million that are involved. The sewer plant facility, when our collection system was built, it was a $5.5 million grant to the federal government, and look what we got for it.
And Cedar Lake and Lowell, between the two communities, was about 12,000 people, and now it's a heck
So
of a
the
lot.
numbers may look big now, they're really not big, they're an investment number.
Yeah, I was just thinking out loud here a little bit, and I had that question in my mind in conversations with Meyer and Rep. Aylesworth, is, boy, how do we shift gears at some point here in the future? We're gonna have to. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you, Randy. What do we need to do on this, Chris? Do you wanna?
If there's no major objections, I'll talk to the town manager tomorrow of Lowell, and we can work towards scheduling a JMOD meeting.
Makes sense. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Chris. I think everybody fits in great. No major objections anyway. Thank you. Public comment? Any public comment? Jim, you seeing public comment?
No hands are raised online.
Okay, seeing no public comment, this meeting is adjourned.
Meeting is called to order. This is Town Council public meeting for April 19th, 2022. Start the pledge of allegiance, moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Here.
John Foreman?
Present.
Julie Rivera? Here. Ralph Miller?
Present.
Colleen Stevens? Here. Richard Marsh?
Here.
Randy Niemeyer?
Present.
I am present. Chris Gladys?
Present.
David
Yes.
Austin?
Present.
We have a quorum. Start out tonight with two presentations. Number one is Turning It Over, Joe's Hope, Roger Hayward. Roger, the floor is yours. Roger and I have been communicating. He's in need of some possible space to do some work, and I told him the place to come would be to talk to the council about possibly using the Monastery Woods Clubhouse for some things that he's looking to do. So if you want to take it from there, Roger, it's yours.
Thank you. My name's Roger Hayward. I'm an alcoholic. Is this the wrong meeting?
It's always the right meeting, Roger.
So, my name's Roger Hayward. I'm Public Policy Committee for NAMI, Indiana's National Alliance on Mental Illness. I'm also on Northern Indiana Substance Abuse and Mental Health Legislative Committee. So I kind of have a voice, at the top sometimes, for those that want to listen. CIT trained, QPR, that's as it relates to suicide prevention. I also facilitate in the courts on behalf of offenders that might have broken the law, where the charges are primarily related to substance abuse and the symptoms, if you will, that bring them to court. Right? So I'll advocate in court, and oftentimes judges have released the offender to me in lieu of a bed space for them instead of incarceration. When they get their head screwed on in treatment, they come back into court and we address their charges as far as that goes. So thanks just for letting me come up here and talk. I brought a couple of friends of mine, just to share, 2 minutes if it's okay with you. This is April, she's on my planning committee for this effort. She is also the Joe's Hope part of it, turning it over. It's what this is about. I don't know about you guys, but I need to turn stuff over on a daily basis over and over and over again because it's sometimes just difficult. And then Joe's Hope part is I'll let her go with that. She's also a veteran, so thank you again.
Step on up.
Okay.
You're just having a conversation with us, okay? It's no big deal.
So, Joe's Hope, Roger came to me. I lost my brother just over a month ago to alcoholism. He just could not stop drinking, and it took his life from him. Thankfully, through, I don't know if I say it thankfully, but through my brother's loss, I was able to find my own sobriety through Roger's help, being able to go to meetings that are very helpful. But Joe's Hope is to be able to help others in need, not just with alcoholism, suicide, grieving, those in need of just a listening ear or a hand to, hold. So it's very important to me, and yeah, that's about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Meredith. Hi. I have a son, and back in 2018, I never thought addiction would come knocking on our door. And because of Roger, he is with us today, and he is functioning. He has come so far. Back in 2018, I had nowhere to go. I really didn't know what to do. And I saw a post that Roger had posted on Facebook that said, if you have a problem, if you have an addiction, if you're an alcoholic, reach out to me. If you, your family member, if you need help, just reach out. So I did. I reached out latter part of 2018. I think we finally got together in 2019, and my son and myself and Roger got together and we talked, and Roger has been a blessing. He has been there, like he said, to advocate for my son. He took him to court. He talked to the judges. He told us what to do. He told him what to do. He got hold of everybody that he needed to get hold of to help my son. My son was probably at the lowest point in his life ever. He's 27 years old today, and I honestly don't think he'd be here today if Roger wasn't there to help us. So, if we can help Roger, help others, I believe in this community, which honestly, I never, like I said, I never had any experience with anybody who had an addiction, anything like that. So I really had nowhere to go, and it was just so nice to have him. I moved into Cedar Lake back in 2016. So where we had moved from, there really wasn't anywhere that I could go. So this was wonderful. He was a blessing, and if we could help in any way, I believe that our community here in Cedar Lake really needs this today. So, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, Lord. First of all, it's not me. The power greater than me, I promise you.
Amen.
Left to my own devices, I wouldn't even be standing here. I can promise you that. The group name is Turn It Over, Joe's Hope. Named after one of our community members, and planning committee members, April, who lost her brother in his life to alcoholism. Purpose is to create awareness, the effects of addiction, mental illness, criminality in the families of our community. All right, to have resources immediately available. It's a big barrier for us if we want help. You know how many guys have helped here in the community getting the treatment. We got to jump through hoops. So we need that direct line to get some. Okay, today I can make a phone call, and that person will call in, and within a day or two they can be in treatment, provided the insurance pieces are in place. If it's not, then I can help facilitate that as well, whether it's Medicaid or HIPAA or Indiana plan. To resources immediately available, to be a solution-minded, to advocate in the courts for treatment versus incarceration. Again, like I said, if you break the law, I believe you need to pay the fiddler, right? But if you break the law as a result of, how do I say, if I see a cell phone laying on the dashboard and I take my elbow and smash it, right, is that a crime? Of course it's a crime. Right, but what would I go after that phone for? Not because I wanted to use a telephone, because I wanted to get a rock, crack cocaine or something. Okay, so that to me is a symptom of a deeper brokenness. Okay, do we have to deal with it as a crime? Absolutely. Chief, it's a crime. But I believe we need to get them into treatment. You need to understand, get some closure, what's going on. Trauma we know is a leading contributor to the onset of mental illness, right? So if we can deal with the trauma, right, I believe that the symptoms will begin to subside and we have a chance. Just my opinion. Create a sustainable action plan to meet the pandemic where it is. I believe that we do have a pandemic here in Cedar Lake. I've advocated for many here in the community. Some of you know, some of you don't. Create a safe space to talk and to share. In the end, to move closer to drug-free Cedar Lake. Wouldn't that be something, huh? All right, attendees would be anybody who might have a family member, loved one, friend, or significant other who might be struggling in the area of addiction and or co-occurring disorders, the general public, all and any. If you want to come out and see what's going on and have an opportunity to talk about what's going on with you, come on out, all right?
So you want to use the clubhouse how many days a week or what?
Right now, can I do this in the order? Can I do this?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I guess I was thinking that
Yep.
you're telling us what you're doing, but I couldn't.
Yep.
I didn't understand the bigger picture yet.
I promise to get there.
All right.
Thank you.
I apologize.
No, not necessary.
You want,
I need you more than you.
Hey, Roger, in other words, it's, hey, get to the point, let's go.
No, I mean, you're the boss. Is that what you
No,
want?
keep going, keep going.
All right, family member, see, you got me all thrown off here, John.
Sorry, Rod.
Family member, political enthusiast, community member, professional who would speak on a topic, shares a lived experience, followed by a reading from the selected literature. Then Brett will do some breakout groups to discuss the topic or other as may be deemed appropriate or address a specific need. So that's kind of like, what would happen. I don't believe it's not going to be a church, it's not going to be AA. And for the simple reason, from my experience in the population that I worked with, that kind of has a stigma attached to it and has adversely affected those who may need help or treatment. They won't go to a meeting, they won't go to church, for their own reasons. So I want to be neutral in that, so that it can be all inclusive. If that makes sense to you. Time requested would be from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Possibly a bit longer if there's a need or a crisis or whatever it might be to be determined. On a night-by-night. Days requested, I would like to start with the first Thursday of the month. I would expect to go to first and third Thursday. Again, to be determined on how it goes. Maybe no one will come up, maybe everybody's fine, and and that would be it. I kick off tentatively for May 5th, 2022, and my ask is the location for the monastery building. To use that space if it's available. Actually, I asked if I could use this up here because I thought it would be pretty cool, but then someone suggested, no, this is not the place for that. Little levity there, John.
I like it. It's all good.
Okay, so just thank you, council, for your consideration. Mine is to meet folks where they are with empathy. We don't need sympathy. Okay, we need to understand where you're at and how can we come beside you. We're not in front of you, not in back of you, beside you. That's what saved my life. I celebrated 18 years on April 4th, continuous sobriety, and I know what can work. We just have to be part of the solution, not the problem. That's all.
So I think what you're doing is noble. I think it's great. Being able for us to sit here and say that Thursday is already booked. Some Thursdays we'd have to give it to town manager. But also, I would assume you're also asking for it at no cost?
I didn't.
There is a fee normally to lease that facility?
Then yes, no cost.
So I would assume that was part of this as well, right?
Yes. Well, if you can, that would be amazing. But I'm sure that somebody would find a way.
That's why I had Roger come here with this request, was because the only way that he could facilitate this would be as a charitable function, and not a charitable function that's going to be collecting donations, but one that's trying to just be community-based. So it was kind of a unique request that I thought the council needed to hear and consider.
I don't consider, I just know we changed the rules on that, I don't know what, I don't remember.
Yeah, there are some charitable functions that do collect money, and have the ability to pay certain bills, and there's others that don't. And this is kind of a startup thing that Roger's doing, and I think Chief Wilkening could tell you how much the proliferation of really hard drugs, even in this community, has increased. As the population's increased, the amount of overdoses and the amount of Narcan that you dispense on a yearly basis continues to go up. There's overdoses every week. And so much crime, and Chief could probably talk to this, comes from addiction. A lot of our courts are just backed up with it, and we put people in jail, and they come back out, and here they are again.
Mr. President, if I get a second?
Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
We in the police department recognize that there's a problem in the community, and we have been working pretty hard the last 5 months to do something to help this out as well. I became a CIT coordinator in January. I have a intern at my station right now that's putting together a CIT, which is Crisis Intervention Team, putting a CIT program together for my department, where we will train the officers how to not always take them to jail and see if we can get them help. But I also know that there's some grant funding out there. So I know that the town, because I was part of it with Ms. Sheehan, that they changed the policy on rental. But I think we could probably, if it's charitable, and if the town council doesn't have the ability since we changed the ordinance, I think we could probably find some funding for you to at least pay for that facility through some people that I know. So it's something that I'm pretty passionate about, with CIT and trying to help the community out with the amount of drugs and alcohol we have, and some own personal stuff that's gone on in my life. So I think we could handle that, no problem, for at least once a month to help you guys get started. And I mean, I'll donate if I have to.
I just don't remember, I know we did.
Yeah, we did change it, yeah. We did.
Chris, what's the, do we know the normal going rate?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I think it's 150, I think.
$125 for resident, but there's a $200 deposit required for the clubhouse.
Do we charge Cub Scouts?
Yeah, we have a not-for-profit rate also.
There is a not-for-profit rate.
I am a 501c3.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, do we charge Cub Scouts and
Yes.
Girl Scouts?
That would be a question for Margaret. I don't know what.
Yeah, I think we do.
I don't know.
No, now we do.
I think we did.
No,
We
I think
do.
we changed it.
Yeah, we changed it, I believe.
I think that's a great program you're doing, and that's
Well, I
a
do
good
too, I'm
location.
just saying we may
So
have to
what's the grants out there, Bill?
I'll have to check into it because I have weekly meetings with CIT Lake County and the CIT with the state. Because I'm also part of an overdose fatality review team, so on a monthly basis, we review the overdoses that take place in Lake County to see if we can get to them before that happens. Unfortunately with Joe, I'm so sorry. And so we meet on a monthly basis for that. And so I know that they have been working really hard at some grants. We're actually really close to actually developing a team, response team out of Cedar Lake to respond to crisis intervention when there is an issue. So when you have a problem with your son or your brother, I'm sorry, that you could call us or get a hold through the police department, and we would respond with one of our officers, sometimes in plain clothes, and this team that would come out of, I'm gonna mess it up here, they're out of,
Porter County maybe?
no, it's in Lake County.
Okay.
I have to get back to the.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah,
I
so-
facilitated training up there, CIT and,
Yeah, so my intern is working, she's actually working to get her master's through social work, and she's working closely with Griffith, us and Griffith are working side by side to put this CIT together, so that we could educate our officers, one, you know, and for a different route to help people out when they're struggling, you know. Obviously, they have to want to get help, you know, that's the biggest issue. But when they do, where do they go? I currently have 2 officers that are assigned to a emergency response team now, that is paid by a grant. So when they have, an incident, they will respond to the scene to ensure that it's secure while the people do what they need to do to help them. And I have 1 officer, that is also assigned to, through the Perry program, that people can walk in the station and get help right away. All they gotta do is come to the window, we'll bring the Perry officer in, and he can get him, he has contacts for all the beds, just like you do, and get him in a facility pretty quickly, so. We're working, it's just very difficult, because the, resources are not out there. You know, a lot of the mental health resources are just not out there, so, but we're trying. So, I think we could come up with something.
Regarding the Perry thing, again, I facilitated a training up in Porter County, for Perry through NAMI.
Yeah.
Put my little NAMI hat on, you know, and, so if you want a Perry volunteer to come down, if you don't have a guy available.
I have a Perry officer.
I'm willing to come down and have a conversation with whoever it might be.
Sure.
Just FYI, I think we had that conversation before.
We did in my office.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
And we have the right to waive the fee if we want to.
Julie, go ahead.
Roger, how soon do you want to start this?
Mike, I was thinking, May 5th, but that's not in stone, you know, this is first things first, you know, we come and.
Yeah, we gotta check the schedule, we've gotta, so I'm a big person on policies here, but I'm also big on not legislating exceptions, but legislating rules. So we created a set of rules, right? But this is one of these unique situations in my mind because of the impact that addiction has on all of our families. Nobody can claim that they've had no connection to it in their lives, because everybody does.
Amen.
I lost a first cousin some years ago to suicide, who had struggled with drugs and alcohol his whole life. He was 35 when he took a shotgun to himself. Have another family member who struggles with it as well, so it impacts everyone. And it's important, I think, when you have these unique situations to, you know, lean on your policies for sure, but there are exceptions to every rule. We just don't legislate the exceptions, we consider them.
Randy, talking about unique things, Chief, is this something that the police department could partner with Roger on? Are we talking?
I think that would be difficult, because you gotta remember,
Okay.
most of those people that wanna talk with Roger are in fear of us. Because we've dealt with them so much. So we try to stay out of it as much as possible. A lot of these programs that we're working on right now, they're trying to keep law enforcement away, but they're just in case, you know?
Okay, what I was looking at
Yeah.
was a partnership with the town that Roger would have. You know,
Right.
could,
Right.
if you
I understand
can-
what you're saying. I would have difficulty having an officer assigned to it, because they're trying to keep that away so that people have the freedom and ability to open up. You know, and when they can't do some of that in front of us, so.
That's an excellent point, Chief, and it's part of the de-escalation process, when,
Right.
like you said, you arrive on site of a crime, you know, in plain clothes.
Right.
You know, whatever, you know.
My Perry officer actually carries plainclothes in the squad car just in case.
So I think that it's gonna be hard to give you a direct answer this evening. The first thing that has to be done is checking the schedule. And the second thing is the council has to consider within its policy what sort of
Well, I have
terms
no
could be
problem
made.
doing that, I just wanted you to know, I think we changed it.
We did.
Where we could turn around and just say, yeah, you can have it.
Right, and policies are there as a guideline, as a thing to lean on, but again, there are exceptions that do come up in unique circumstances.
I get it, man.
And this is one of those where you have a local guy here that has a tremendous reputation in helping people. And if we could help to facilitate some of that to make a difference in our own community,
Sure.
I mean, we're public servants, that's what we're supposed to do, is to try and make a difference, so.
I know we made it, a discounted rate for non-for-profit, so, Roger, I don't know if you could give the council a month, but let them get some information, and if we did make that policy to make it easier, I know we can get donations to take care of it, so that you guys don't have to overstep what you just did, although I know you can, to make it easier, I could do that if need be.
And I'm sure folks have, you know, folks will donate, you know, a few
I
bucks
don't
here, a
think
few bucks
we
there.
need
Yeah,
it, I don't think we financially need it, we just need, try to put rules in place so
I
some
get it,
people
man.
didn't get favoritism.
Yeah, we had everybody asking for everything for free all the time.
Yeah.
And so, the policy was well,
Start something?
the policy was well thought out, but in
I
this
get it.
situation, I'm looking for the council to consider how we can help Roger facilitate this, because, again, it's every community, it's every family, there's no hiding from it, there's no pretending it doesn't exist, so, let's...
Where do we go from here?
I think it's a simple ask. I think, why don't we ask Chris to put on next month's agenda?
I just wanna say,
Or did you wanna
try
do-
to get out.
I'm sorry, Julie.
I just wanna
Julie.
say, not to get too mushy, but we need more Rogers in this world. I work in mental health field myself, God willing, I'll have my master's next May. And there's such a shortage of mental health workers, and you just prove that you don't need a master's, you don't need a PhD, you just need to have the heart and people are willing to talk to you. And you've like shown that in abundance, and I've never seen you on Facebook turn anyone away that's asked even the most minute thing to the largest thing. You always find an answer. So if we just had a bunch more Rogers, we wouldn't have the problems that we have.
Yeah,
And I
we
appreciate
eat a lot though, Julie, see? Thank you.
Well, thanks, Julie, for that. So, let's work with the town manager's office, see if we can get a schedule out there of available dates, and then the council can then consider, a waiver request, or some sort of hybrid, a combination of things, whatever it becomes. But in that time, Roger, maybe work with, Chief Fisher on, connecting some of those resources as well, that maybe doesn't help the town in maintaining its policy, but helps you to run your organization, so you can do a
I
better
fund it
job.
pretty much myself, I'll do a job, if I got, $50, I'll put it in a gas tank, and take somebody down to treatment, down to,
$50 gets you about 10 miles now.
We'll fix that, Randy, come on.
But there's an election in a couple of years, so, everybody will have the chance.
Right?
Yeah. But no, Roger, that's, I think the right process here is connecting with Chief Fisher, let the town manager's office kind of facilitate, organizing this thing a little bit, and then the council can consider a waiver.
Okay, and then, with all that said, come back to next meeting for some kind of an answer, or?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, that'll be,
Not till the 17th.
17th of May.
Yeah, the first Tuesday's election day.
Yeah, he's looking for that Thursday, but I think it may have to.
It'll have to go to-
And that's fine, Colleen, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of a delay because of the primary election.
Yeah, because of the election.
But, no, I appreciate
So what you're doing
you
is
guys
a great
sharing
thing.
your stories too.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It means a lot to hear that from people. Takes a lot of courage and bravery to come up here and speak, so thank you for sharing this. Roger, thank you for bringing this to us. It's a great opportunity to help the community.
Thanks for your consideration.
Thank you. Okay, one more presentation. We have Fraternal Order of Eagles presentation of donations. Bill Kuhn, please, BK.
We're bringing them all up. That's
Okay.
with you.
Please introduce us to your team.
Good evening, council.
Good
First of
evening.
all, I'd like to say our motto is people helping people, and, Roger, if you write us a letter, we're meeting on the, we're meeting on the 27th, maybe we could get you, paid for in that May 5th meeting, so, please write a letter to our auxiliary in our area, and we'll see if we can help you out a little bit, all right? There you go. I have with me here our gaming chair, Linda Parnell, officers, et cetera, that do a lot of the work for us. And our auxiliary and the area together, we all raise money through our bingo and other accounts, and Linda's a big part of that. And so is our other chair, Debbie Kralik. You guys want to introduce yourself? Or should I just go? Bert Kralik, trustee. Darlene, bingo player, very good one. Greg, trustee. Dave's our treasurer, and Dave is our past-worthy president. So, Bill, come on up. All right. And they're Chief Fisher. Sorry.
That's all right. That's right.
So, we did something for the fire department a couple of months ago. We raised $9,600 to help them with their training equipment. And, we also want to help our law enforcement officers for all the good they do in this town, and they have a need. Their phasers are getting outdated and out of service time.
So we'd like to help start that program out. So here's a $9,600 check. Wow. So the bulk's gonna be about $30,000, and they're gonna go for a matching grant. So we also asked some of our community members and businesses if they would help add a little bit to the pot. So on behalf of some people we asked to, Steve Kill helped me raise some money too. We had John and Debbie Lawton, Bob and Rachel Philippi, myself and Karen, John and Audra Foreman, and David Lobos and Greg Marquardt also chip in, and we'd ask to add another $8,000 to that.
Wow.
Holy cow. That brings the total up to $17,600. You know, matching grant, that's gonna take care of every one of your police officers.
Is it your bingo money?
Gary's got $17,599.
Hey, let's move this out of the way here. So I brought with me, Commander Tom Kidd. I know you haven't had a chance to meet him yet, and I've also brought Doug Machock in, who is, pretty much our 100% grant writer, and is working, towards, finishing this grant out, which will fund the entire program, so. Come on up.
Okay, come on up.
Great. Hey, where are we going? Come on, Eric, tell them.
Here we go.
Okay.
Hey, Rex.
I understand that. I'm just rolling money around. Come on. Hold on a second.
Stand it out.
Just here, hold on to a check.
All right.
I'm gonna hold on to it.
She handles her money.
One large check. Alrighty. Perfect, Greg. All right, 3, 2, 1. And now, 3, 2, 1. That's too cool.
$1,600, I'll get a lot.
Yeah, I talked to him today.
Yeah.
He said he was gonna come by, so.
Keep something, Hebron, I'll drop that off at your.
Okay.
Your very
Thank you. How's your golf game?
Hey guys, sorry, but we gotta go back to work. We are.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Sounds good. Here we go. There we go. Come on, Wendell. That's it. That's it. Give us a letter.
Okay, now we have a public hearing item, which is ordinance 1413, reestablishment of the CCD fund. Review of legals.
Hi, Ray.
Yeah.
I followed DLGF guidance, and legals were posted in both the Post Tribune and the Times on April 7th and April 15th.
Thank you. Reading of ordinance 1413 by title, Mr. Sharp.
Ordinance number 1413, an ordinance reestablishing and continuing a cumulative capital development fund, CCDF, to the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, and all matters related thereto.
Thank you. Any remonstrators for or against? Are there any remonstrators for or against? Third call for remonstrators. Mr. Austin?
Could you ask your clerk to give a brief explanation?
I will. Town council discussion, I'll go to Jen first.
Council members, we've done this previously in the past. This is to reestablish your cumulative capital development fund at the max of 5 cents for each $100 of assessed valuation. Your cumulative capital development fund pays for all of the large capital and equipment improvements throughout town, vehicles for various departments or other large project needs.
Okay. Town council discussion.
Seems pretty cut and dry.
Yep.
We've done it before. Yes, we have.
Town council decision on ordinance 1413.
I'll make the motion to adopt ordinance 1413.
A motion by, Councilmember Sheeman, is there a second?
Is the legals and the reading of ordinance and all of that were in here?
Already did it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Already did it, John.
okay, I didn't hear it. Apparently. Remonstrators, you asked?
Yeah, already
Yeah,
did it.
yeah, I didn't hear that.
I must have,
Yeah, there.
Welcome, John.
Yeah.
Happy to have you.
I thought you jumped the gun there, I didn't hear it all, thank you.
No, I appreciate it. We have a motion
I'd like to make that second.
Colleen, second by Mr. Foreman. Questions or discussion?
I didn't hear the remonstrator part, thank you.
Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Is there a motion to suspend the rules to allow for a second reading?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Foreman, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivera, questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Mr. Sharp, second reading of ordinance 1413 by title.
Ordinance number 1413, an ordinance reestablishing and continuing a cumulative capital development fund, CCDF, for the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, and all matters related thereto.
Thank you. You've heard the second reading of ordinance 1413. Is there a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Foreman, second by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Next, we have public comment on agenda items. Any public comment on agenda items? Third call. No public comment on agenda items. We will move to the consent agenda. Claims, all town funds, $419,171.05. Wastewater operating, $144,933.12. Wastewater utility of $88,853.95. Stormwater, $5,495.28. Payroll, April 14th, 2022, $324,881.91, and March remittances of $156,577.62. Manual journal entries from March 1st through 31st, 2022. Donations, DARE donations, $100 Christopher B. Burke Engineering, Nice Engineering and Sheehy Well and Pump Company Incorporated, $250 Nagy's Automotive, Stan's Towing and Recovery, Lawrence Property Group, Sigma & Sons Plumbing, Inc., Diamond Peak Homes, Altoff Homes, St. John Paving, State Farm Insurance, Midwest PGM, Action Plumbing, Sterling Machine Company, Veritas Group, Tech Credit Union, Pinecrest Marina, Phil & Sons, Schilling Brothers Lumber, James Auto, CL Vending, and Indiana Grocery Group LLC, and $500 Fraternal Order of Eagles. Tag Day requests, American Legion Auxiliary Unit 261, May 14th, May 21 rain date, Rick Larson Wrestling Club, June 11, June 18 rain date, alcohol waiver request, Tina and Nate Pearson, Clubhouse on June 4th, 2022, and Sarah Warren Clubhouse on May 1st, 2022. Letter will be emailed on Friday and will be in final packet. Motion to accept and waive the reading of the minutes, accept the consent agenda as listed.
That was a lot.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Rivera, seconded by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion?
I have one comment. I thought that we had agreed as far as the clubhouse goes, alcohol was now allowed. They would just have to come to the town if it was 75 people or more, because they would require an officer. I didn't think it needed to be on our agenda.
I think you're right, and I was surprised to read that as well.
Yeah,
but-
I think we agreed we didn't need to approve those. We just said it could be, and 75 people or more, they had to come to the town and get whatever they needed and have an officer there.
Then we need to do a little policy review and make sure that that is codified.
Okay, but I'm pretty sure that is.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neiman?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Before we start our business, new business, we're going to add a community crossroads management grant item as well as some west side sewer interceptor items. Ordinances and resolutions, ordinance 1414, and ordinance establishing electronic meetings policy. Mr. Sharp, by its title only, please.
Ordinance number 1414, an ordinance establishing a policy for the town council members to participate in public meetings by electronic means of communications and all matters related thereto.
Thank you. Mr. Austin?
The pandemic has ended, but the benefits of it are permitted to proceed and continue in the form of this ordinance for public meeting participation. What you have in your ordinance that you're considering is state law, but it's required to be codified by local resolution or ordinance in order to be effective. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can't always not be here. There are certain restrictions on what can and cannot be considered. So, generally follows the state law.
Does this cover the Plan Commission and the Board
It
of
does.
Zoning Appeals?
It does.
Okay.
It says at least 50% of the members must be physically present. Not more than 50% of the members may participate by electronic means. A member may not attend more than 50% of the public meetings in a calendar year by electronic means.
With some exceptions.
The exceptions are military service, illness, death of a relative, or an emergency involving actual or threatened injury to person or property. So that's kind of some of the highlights of it. There's a lot more to it, but it does codify the state law into our ordinance. Okay, is there a motion by the council to approve the first reading of ordinance 1414?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Carnahan, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheehan, questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neiman?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Is there a motion to suspend the rules to allow for a second reading?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Carnahan, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Miller, questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neiman?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Mr. Sharp, by its title only, please.
Ordinance number 1414, an ordinance establishing a policy for the town council members to participate in public meetings by electronic means of communication and all matters related thereto.
Thank you. You've heard the second reading of ordinance 1414. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Carnahan, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheehan, questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neiman?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Old business. Item 1 is humane pet store ordinance request. Dustin Thibodeau, we'll turn the floor over to you, Councilmember Rivera.
So I don't think Dustin can make it tonight. This is the third time it's been on the agenda. Looking at the ordinance that Attorney Austin has drafted for the town of Sherrville, I believe it's in our best interest to go with this somewhat of a zoning ordinance, which will limit pet stores from opening in town. They would have to go before the BZA and the Plan Commission for a variance of use. There's also some language in here about what constitutes a pet mill, which is a large-scale commercial breeding facility where the health and welfare of animals is not adequately provided for, commonly referred to as a puppy mill, and such an establishment is not permitted in the town. I do have to say, I promised Becky Goldberg that I would mention, she also wanted us to talk about limiting backyard breeders, requiring a license to breed dogs in your home, in your backyard, just because she feels that there's some breeders that have an overabundance of pets and they have inhumane conditions. I feel like, although I understand her point, if we added that, it would just make it harder for it to pass, for one thing. And also, the animal cruelty ordinance that we passed in, I think it was January of 2018, would also take care of some of those, address some of those inhumane living conditions as far as cages, being outside, being extreme heat, being in extreme cold. So, I told her that I don't think at this time we should, add anything to this ordinance. Again, I think it's a lot more, legally viable to pass this ordinance, which is, I'm hoping we can get it similar to Sherrville's ordinance. Maybe Mr. Austin can correct me or add to this.
No, and as you and I talked today, Julie, this is an easy get if that's what your legislative intent is. You would restrict or draft and consider an ordinance that prohibited puppy mills. I use that term generically for discussion. Definitions would be needed. You would not allow them to open and exist in Cedar Lake. I would draft it to put it in, if somebody sought the use in your highest business zoning regulation with the variance of use, providing three things. One, or certain, that we have BZA approval required after zoning change required, and the town council would have the last word based upon the zoning. It's a gauntlet of review and process for any prospective end user of that type of business.
And this would not prohibit the Humane Society type organization, with adoptable rescue animals and.
But would it prevent pet stores?
Yes. Pet stores as defined or puppy mills?
That, puppy mills, yes, I mean, again, pet stores, I am not.
No, I would not. I would not draft it to it.
Somebody wants to come in and have guinea pigs and fish and
Well, that's your call. I mean, you have to
they open up the store and they want to do it themselves.
Rattlesnakes.
It's a pet store. Again, I want Randy's puppies.
We go, man.
No, I'm just curious.
We can't really regulate people opening businesses.
Well, that's my problem, right?
If we did, we wouldn't allow 88.
I have a problem.
But we do in a way through zoning definitions and classification. A B1 is different than a B2 is different than a B3.
But I don't agree with limiting somebody being able to sell at a pet store. Puppy mills, yeah.
Agreed.
Overbred.
Yeah, this ordinance, the way I just perused it, it does not.
But what Julie is, and what Sherrville was all about zoning. And it's a fair way to address an issue without creating another problem of free commerce.
Well, it provides a complete process. Due process still exists, so some folks coming in here wanting to do that business would have an opportunity to show you in one of three forms.
And the people would have an opportunity to
And
remonstrate.
there would be notice on two levels, one for the zone change and one for the variance of use. It's an incredible gauntlet.
And it's fair, because then you can fully vet a business like that, and the people
And I'm
can
fine with
ask
that.
questions.
And the statutory criteria would then play a role, the section 603 of the zoning code, the 918.4 and 5 section of the BZA portion of the zoning code. I mean, you've got criteria that's objective. We won't find ourselves facing constitutional challenge or deprivation of due process rights. Somebody may claim it, but all they have to do is pull out their zoning book and know they've got a path. If they can meet the burden, they can meet the burden. Otherwise, they can't. And
Is that the ordinance you would like Dave to draft, Julie?
Yes, if I could give Dave direction to draft this ordinance as you did in Sherrville. I think that's a.
Would you prepare that for our next meeting in May?
Well, the process for a zone map or a zone text.
It has to start in the
We'll
planning
start with
commission.
planning.
Yeah.
Public hearing there, and then they'll certify the ordinance to you. It'll be your end act legislatively.
Well, let's start the process. Sounds good.
Sounds good.
It would be a motion to defer at that point and to direct the attorney to draft.
I'd make a motion to defer ordinance number 1444 with the legal to review.
What ordinance number?
I'm sorry, the humane pet store ordinance. Humane pet store ordinance.
I'll second.
1979 of Sherrville was referenced.
Okay.
Thank you.
Motion by Mr. Foreman, second by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Item 2 is consider approval of purchase of car and body cameras for the police department. This received a favorable recommendation from the Board of Safety on May 23rd, 2022. I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Sandberg and Mr. Fisher.
I'll start off. So we had a good conversation today at our department head meeting. One of the problems that we will run into that I explained to Ms. Sandberg and the town manager is the grant that we received was for the whole thing. When I talked to the state today about that grant, I said, well, would we be able to use that for just body cameras? That was part of the discussion to see if it was out there. And she said, well, you can, but you would get deducted the other costs, so you would only receive a very minuscule amount because the body cameras are cheaper than the whole thing. So we would, in essence, lose most of that grant. I'm also here to help answer any other further questions. We had some great dialogue today in the meeting. And I think Chris and I have come up with a decent way of making this happen. That grant will cover the entire cost of the payment for the first year. It won't be anything, albeit it is a reimbursable grant, so that Jen knows, but it will be covered from the grant, including installation of all of the equipment. The equipment in the vehicles, and the equipment at the station. Once that takes place, if we were only to do body cameras, we would have to pay for another reinstallation if we later went to the car cameras and installed them, to have them come back in, take it all back out, and then reinstall more equipment. So we would be double dipping. And one of the questions that was posed is if we have the ability next year to just pay that off so it's not a reoccurring thing, would we be able to? And I will confirm, but I know that WatchGuard was willing to help us in any way, to defer costs in a quarterly payment, to do it 1 year or to do it year by year, to do it every 6 months. They said, we will work with however you want to do it. We just know that this is something that's important for your department, so.
Okay.
I'm actually going to throw it to Chris so that Chris can explain the idea we came up with.
Yeah, so at first I had a little bit of heartburn because we've got, and I believe Jen and I know Sue's listening in, Sue also did, about encumbering the budget moving forward on an annual basis any more than it already is, because as 7 of you know, we're pretty well encumbered with all the projects we've got going on. Learning that we would lose portions of grant, my consideration is in the sustainability plan for next year, there's a general obligation bond that's scheduled to be taken out if the council decides to go that path to follow the sustainability plan. Initially, my idea was to pay for the body cams now and get the car cams next year under the GEO bond. I talked with Sue today, and she confirmed with Phil Facenda, our bond counsel, that as long as the lease, or the financial leasing agreement with WatchGuard is written favorably for the town, that we could make the $200,000 payment next year if we do decide to go out and do a general obligation bond. I just want to be very conservative with, again, encumbering the budget. The CCD fund is one of our more flexible funds. A lot of our departments dip into it. We're going to be having, moving forward with public safety building, as well as repairs and things that happen throughout the year. I think it's prudent for the town to have some flexibility within that budget in order to pay for what would be incidentals, or things we haven't foreseen as we move forward. And paying this project off with a general obligation bond next year would allow us to do it. We do have the room in the CCD fund to pay for it, though. That is the ultimate question and answer.
Question. With the fact that if we're building this, well, we are building the public safety facility, and we had talked about use of general obligation debt for that.
Those operate transfer.
Right, but it still has to be financed with some sort of revenue, which that revenue is gonna be generated from property taxes. Is this something that we could roll into something like that, since it's all public safety related?
That I would have to ask Phil Pacenda.
Just a question, because of the capital nature of the expenditure relating to the capital upgrade of the facility, it would make some sense to look at this holistically as a way to not encumber anything other than the one project.
Good idea.
Just a thought.
Yeah, that's done often with a fire truck, fire station. Yep.
What's that, Chief?
That is done often with adding a fire truck to a fire station built.
That's why I was kind of thinking in that direction, is while we do have a tighter timeline on this, is this something that we could start the project with an in-house revenue source and then roll it into a
You
bigger
could
project?
absolutely do that. That's fire chief Knapp.
He's
seen it many times.
But it's not a stupid move.
Well, that's what Bruce.
I believe,
Just bump it to the nearest million and have it over with.
You just encourage this guy to start rounding everything up and throwing it all in the pot.
Up to the next million.
I'm just saying, a couple $100,000 on 10 million is nothing. A couple $100,000 on our CCD is a lot.
Yeah, here's the thing too, is that we did, the conversation that I had with the Burns Grant and with I have Officer Machak here who's wrote the Burns Grant, is that we can reapply for that Burns Grant on a yearly basis to try to take that money down or to not have any income cost. But if we pay it outright, then the grant would be useless, you know what I mean? So we could, if the town has that ability, the problem is we just don't know that Burns Grant is very competitive, what we can get out of it.
And more departments are gonna be competing for it.
Yeah.
Doug?
It's gonna look really good for us since we already have it, that we got the start of it. And in the application part of it, when you write the grant, is this continuing on the project? Well, we are continuing on the project. This is something that is a nationwide, everyone knows, this is something that we're gonna have to have. It's gonna become state law sooner or later, and we have to have these cameras. So I feel that we're going to be getting the funding. We're good for next year and a half.
Okay.
Talking to our rep with the federal government, they're pretty good with it. So I think we'll be in good shape, really good.
And I know that you guys know that it's something that we need, but I had an opportunity to show Ms. Sandberg and Mr. Saletas an incident with WatchGuard that was recently happened yesterday with an officer-involved shooting. And if we only had body cameras, this officer is in the middle of a chase of someone shooting at them, and the body camera was activated, but it's only showing the steering wheel, which those other cameras that are in the car are gonna show everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
And Mr. President, this is an opportunity that we have that not a lot of other towns or agencies were able to get this funding through the Burns Grant. This is something we want to make sure we do. It could affect us in the future.
I was just looking at the long-term nature of it. How do we stay flexible? How do we stay nimble?
I would feel most comfortable with this. I don't disagree with the need at all. It's absolutely needed. I don't think that's an argument. I would just like, if we do move forward, that we get the agreement written in a way that we can, because of the competitive nature of grants, execute or pay in full at any given time to alleviate the CCD fund if we have to.
Okay.
I'm in agreement with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. That gives us a little more policy flexibility to be able to be a little more creative with how we finish the game.
Good idea.
So that's good. No, awesome stuff. Great work.
So if we're able to do that, are we able to move forward? The big issue with if you give me the approval, the wait time is at minimum 20 weeks to order the stuff. So we're talking, as of right now, we're talking probably September before any equipment would start to come in.
Okay. Well, we got an item here for the council, we have a strategy laid out on, to start this thing, with a little flexibility written into it. So I like how that's coming together. I think that's really good. Is there a motion by the council to approve the purchase of car and body cameras for police department?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Sheehan, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivera, questions or discussion?
Is there a fire truck involved?
Well, Todd is sitting very quietly
That's
right
next
now.
item on the agenda.
Contemplating his strategy.
Believe it or not, I had a very good,
I'm gonna tell you that.
I had a very good email that was sent out, I think you all received it from the fire chief in support of it too. So because we ultimately would be able to, if the fire chief ever decided to put watch car cameras in their fire trucks to protect them as well, be able to integrate that right into the same system, if that was something in the future.
Unlike a lot of you guys, I go out on the streets and actually see what these cops go through, and they get blamed for a lot of things that they don't do.
Yep.
And I think one bad lawsuit will pay for this, but if we can prove that it didn't happen that way, so, I mean, I gotta,
It serves both ways. It protects the officer, protects the public. Everybody has accountability.
it protects the town's best interest,
Yes,
so.
Yep.
Good, if that means we take a delay on a project, then so be it, it helps overall, so.
Thank you, Todd.
We have a motion second. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neiman?
Yes, motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Really good. Great work on that, guys, and putting that strategy together. That's solid stuff.
I have to give most of the credit to Doug for the grant writing and Jen and Chris for listening to me.
Yeah, we had a great team. That's a heck of an effort. That's just a great effort.
Doug, you're getting pretty good at writing grants, I hear. That's awesome.
I think over the last 2 years, we've received somewhere in the area of, how much was it? $250,000 in grants?
You're paying your way.
Yeah.
He helped you as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
It's great
Way to
stuff.
hear.
Chris, we have a CCMG item. You can introduce that.
So, this is gonna be in my update, so my update may be short, but the town was awarded a CCMG Community Crossroads Matching Grant, funded through the gas tax that was increased years ago. The town applied for 133rd from the railroad viaduct to Parish, just, not the total intersection of Parish, but the approaches to Parish. Parish will be done this year under a different grant, in the amount of $133,000. I need your authorization to sign the NDOT documents, in order for us to get those funds.
Is there a motion by the council to approve the authorization of the town manager to sign the NDOT documents?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Carnahan, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivera, questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neiman?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Next, Mr. Austin, West Side Sewer Interceptor items.
You have proposals to property owners to sell us their land. We need their land for our interceptor, and I need your authority and permission to complete the transactions. There are, I think, 3 of them here tonight.
Correct.
Okay, we have 3 land acquisition proposals for the West Side Sewer Interceptor project. Is there anything to add to that for the record?
I gave you a memo. I think I gave it to Chris and to Jennifer.
Yes. It is for 3 properties, totaling, well, the first one would be $10,025, second one is $7,075, and the third one is $5,675.
Thank you. Record is complete on that. Is there a motion by the council to approve the acquisitions?
I'll make the motion to approve the acquisition.
Motion by Ms. Sheehan, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Miller, questions or discussion?
Yeah, just so the folks in the audience and what have you know, this is something we've been working on for quite some time, as you know, for, these land acquisitions, and luckily, when we are able to get, people to agree to it, it makes things move a lot faster, so this is a good move.
We still have a few more to get.
Total of 8, right?
Total of 8, couple are same property owner, so.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. New business, K2M Design Agreement, Town Facilities, Mr. Salatas.
This is the agreement, a while back, the town had selected K2M as the consultants to do the programmatic design for the public safety building and remodel of the town hall in order to get us to a point to where we can do a build, operate, transfer, where the rest of the design work will be taken over by that selected consultants in the future. This contract in front of you is not $40,000.
Thank you. Is there a motion by the council to approve the K2M Design Agreement for Town Facilities?
Make a motion to approve the K2M design agreement for town facilities.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Sharp. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Time to get to work.
I'm glad you approved that, because we already had our meeting yesterday.
You're sitting in the audience tonight putting pressure on this. No, thank you. We look forward to working with you and
We are
having a very
excited.
successful project.
Yep.
Next is Crow Engagement Agreement for continuing disclosure for fiscal year 2021. Chris?
I believe this is an annual contract with Crow in order to do the fiscal year end for Jen's office.
This is for continuing disclosure on 8 of our bonds. This is so Pro can compile the data and upload it into the MS system. They do it for us.
We have contractual commitments in our bond financing that Jennifer referred to that mandates this.
Okay.
What's the dollar amount?
$4,000.
Okay.
Is there a motion by the council to approve Crow Engagement Agreement? Who made that?
I did.
Motion by Ms. Sheehan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Item 3 is the Lockbox Program, Hanover Township Trustee's Office. We have the Hanover Township Trustee, Mr. Toth, with us. Mr. Austin, you've gone through the proposed agreement, made changes, corrections, clarifications. Can you highlight those for us, please?
Well, it is an authorization by the participant that to conform to the rules and regulations and requirements of the program, permits the lockbox activity to occur, the installation, et cetera, and provides for waiver and indemnification of the town of Cedar Lake, which was a major point that was in the last, it was in the trustee's document, but was not very clear.
Thank you. Mr. Toth, have you reviewed?
Yeah, we're good, it's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there a motion by the council to approve the lockbox program from the Hanover Township Trustee's Office?
So moved. I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Rivera, second by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion? How does one start the process of participation?
They call trustee's office.
We will, as soon as I order the lock boxes, we'll start advertising it. I'll put it out on our Facebook site, I'll get it out on the town site if we can.
Okay.
We'll put it out there, we'll get it out as best we can.
Awesome. Great work, thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
Any other questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Item 4 is equipment disposal, Public Works, Mr. Salatas.
Public Works has it's hard to tell what state the vehicles are in. One's being scrapped, 2 are being auctioned, and then there's a chainsaw that doesn't run that's also being auctioned. We're requesting permission to dispose of those 4 items.
I'd scrap the chainsaw too.
It's like an antique chainsaw, it's been around for 100 years. It's just a collectible kind of.
So you think somebody would want it?
You should buy it, John.
Scrap it.
Somebody will want it.
All right.
And it doesn't cost anything to put it on the auction, the buyers pay the auction fee, so, we figured, and then we had that truck bed that was taken off of, one of the 2015 trucks, it's still good, it's still usable, but we have no use for it, so we're trying to just recoup a little money for equipment.
Cool.
Is there a motion by the council to approve the equipment disposal for Public Works?
So moved. We're selling
Second.
Bob. I think Bob Ray.
Okay, so,
My last year was pretty
Mr.
strong,
Carnahan, second by Mr. Sharp.
Yes, sir.
Any questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Item 5 is the 2022 police vehicle financing. Ms. Sanford?
Council, I solicited proposals
My ringer showed up. I don't know what this is
for
doing.
police vehicles that you previously allowed, the department to move forward with. I sent requests to 4 entities, only 3 responded to me, Tax Exempt Leasing Corp., Vermont State Bank Inc. / BB Community Leasing, and Republic First National. Vermont State Bank BB Community Leasing had the lowest interest rate at 2.85%, and they also met my requests for a 3-year term with annual payments and the first payment in arrears. So it's my recommendation that we enter into the lease purchase agreement with Vermont State Bank / BB Community Leasing for the vehicle financing.
Is there a motion by the council?
So moved.
Bob made it.
You did. Yeah, Bob made it. You second?
I second.
Motion by Mr. Carnahan, second by Mr. Miller. We're having a comment.
This is a big night for you, Mr. Bill.
Anyway, I
Questions?
can direct
Wow.
any of this, I can interject any.
We'll come to you later.
It's ridiculous.
Big night for the police department, ours.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Item 6 is acknowledgement and acceptance of utility easement for 14007 Fairbanks. Mr. Salatas.
First of all, I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna have to reconfigure the town manager's office to be part of the police department. They're far too favorable.
I agree. Looking for a second.
This particular easement is for our east side transmission main project, for our water utility.
Thank you. Is there a motion by the council to acknowledge and accept the utility easement for 14007?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Foreman,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Item 7 is proclamation, National Telecommunicators Week, April 10th through the 16th. Mr. Sharp, would you read this proclamation for the record, please?
On page 69.
69. Proclamation, National Public Safety Telecommunications Week, April 10th through the 16th, 2022. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services, and whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection and life of the preservation of property, and whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Southcom Police Fire Medical Communications Center, and whereas public safety telecommunications are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas Public Safety Telecommunications of Southcom has contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each telecommunicator has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed that the Sherrville Southcom Operations Board President declares the week of April 10th through April 16th, 2022, to be National Public Safety Telecommunicators Work in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep the town and citizens safe in Sherrville and Cedar Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. Is there a motion by the council to approve the proclamation as read?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Sharp, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheehan, questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Town council reports.
I have two of them. First of all, the American Legion contacted me, and they have Obadiah Taylor's Memorial Day site that they use once a year. They have a flagpole that they've got the harness and rope and everything, and they need help putting it up, and was asking if Public Works could assist them in putting the new rope and harness up.
You're smiling, Tim.
I think it's a proper request.
The question is hanging.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Okay.
They could have made a simple call here.
I make a form of a motion to do that?
If they're less than 55 feet.
If you want to.
Yeah.
All right, so moved.
There's a motion by Bob to direct the Public Works to install the,
I would second Bob's motion.
second by Mr. Foreman.
Yes, sir.
Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
You bet.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven? Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Bob, another thing?
Yes.
They get all the money.
Lake County Solid Waste, I received a thing here from Wendy down at Public Works. Tom mentioned that he has spoke with you, I should have my glasses on, with you about ending the tire program, the recycling tire program. The reason being, they're not letting them take bigger than a 16-inch tire. And so any of the bigger tires, we'll have to pay for them. So
like a P235 16, like that's the biggest tire they'll take, so we gotta go out there and try to determine that those tires are under that range, and
Don't
it's craziness. And we tried it for a while, and we think, you think you got some smaller tires, they're okay. They take 5 of the 30 tires, and it's like, this is.
The Simpsons had the Springfield tire fire, so.
It's so.
Hey, that has material.
It is.
That's big time billable.
Yeah, you'd like that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, we need to be a tire expert, figure out what they want to recycle.
And that involves an employee going out there to see what, and Tom told me that one employee or one citizen came with 10 tires. He said he had 4, and when they went out there, they saw he had 10, and he only was allowed to put 4 in there.
We're not charging for tires, is that?
It's covered under the Lake County Solid Waste,
But they won't take.
but they've lowered what they can take.
A 235-16 is the
Okay.
limit, so that's probably a low profile 16,
All tire.
yeah.
And
I think
it's
it's
crazy,
because
because some of them
Liberty
look
Tire will
small,
come
but
get 'em for
they're like
$3 a
17
tire.
and 20, and.
They'll come and
When
what?
I start charging, Liberty Tire will come pick them up for $3 a tire. They will not come to you out of $150 worth of tires, but they will come pick them up for $3 a tire.
There's a place in southern.
Why do we have to take them? Let people get rid of them on their own.
Well, honestly, you
That's
can
what
go, you
you
can
do.
go over to TJT and pay a couple bucks a tire to get rid of them too, as
Yeah,
long
there's
as they're not full.
disposal fees.
As long as they're not full.
I don't know why, I know years ago we did this to help clean up our community,
But I would think, and I might be wrong, that most people wanna get rid of.
No, you find them in the ditches, unfortunately.
Yeah, we looked into, they'll bring a trailer here and let you fill it up with tires for $3 a piece, and they come and pick it up, but the problem is trying to collect the money and put them in the trailer, and like you said, there's TJ Tire, there's the other tire place, the All Tire over there on 41, and actually, how many people, these days, you take your car and get new tires, you don't take the old ones home with you. Right. You know what I mean? They get rid of them, of course.
You pay for it to go.
A lot of people bring them there because of the convenience, oh, I can take them here and get rid of them, so that's kind of all we've been doing.
Are any of them any good?
No.
So
end it. Everybody's good with that?
Yeah.
So, can Chris just issue a letter or tell them we don't wanna do this anymore?
Yeah, you can do that.
Tom said Low may do the same thing.
I wouldn't trust those guys now.
Your mouth to God's ears.
Maybe end up with a sewer plant.
They're probably doing the same thing, because back when I was down there, we canceled the recycling program through that same entity. Just because it keeps getting more restrictive, they don't follow through with what they had initially promised. These programs just get more expensive, especially as people mix trash into what they're not supposed to be mixing trash into. We can certainly probably make a memo on our Facebook page and website to let people know that and send letters to the organization, let them know what we're done.
Okay. Council reports? I have one here. Some time ago, we had in front of us a request to vacate a utility easement by Mr. Rago. There's NIPSCO lines that run over his property where he wanted to build a deck. I had asked at that time that if he could produce a letter from NIPSCO that stated that they were okay with this, that we would put this in front of everybody again. Now, I'm pretty sure he would have to apply for the vacation again. Is that correct, Dave?
That'd be my opinion.
But being a man of my word, I told him that I would, if he got me the letter, I would give it to all of you, and that then he could begin the process again of applying for this vacation. The letter is in hand. It looks to me, from Jill J. Bogenwright Tabor, that NIPSCO is checking off on this. So with that, I will let Mr. Rago know to start the process again, and we'll see what happens.
Sounds good. I know about it very well.
It's fair. I mean,
Yep.
he produced what he produced, and the council should at least give fair consideration.
Sure.
That was my report. Town attorney.
No reports.
Clerk treasurer.
Same as I made in the utility board meeting, just continuing work on ongoing projects and financials.
Thank you. Town manager.
Besides the CCMG project, we also have, or that was just awarded, we're starting the round of road construction that we already had planned with Vermillion and Highland currently, parish to follow. We started on yesterday on and I believe Tim was out there replacing the culvert. So we're starting on the stormwater work first, and then we'll come and do the paving. NIPSCO is also going to be in that area. They're relocating a 2-inch ductile iron gas main. So there's going to be a lot of work in that little area. We did have a public meeting. We we delivered letters to the 40 property owners that are going to be directly affected by the parcel, and those that weren't owned by the occupants. We sent letters also to the owners of the property, so that way everyone was made aware. I think we had just about 20 people here at the meeting. We had our engineers and the contractor out here. I believe everyone left fairly satisfied with the project. So anyone that is listening now or in the future, bear with us while we move forward in that area. Also for the Lake Eco Restoration Project, we will be going out for bid on April 25th for the Phase 2, the actual dredging portion and the laying of the slurry line, and those bid openings will be on May 31st.
Awesome. Director of Operations.
I got two things.
Oh, he's gotta come forward for
I
these.
got a little handout. Little.
We're about to be relieved of more money. 31st. We've only spent about 20 million.
Holy crap. They're due and we're opening, but, yeah, so they're due usually by noon, and then we'll have.
It's just all in the day's work
All the days work.
that we've been planning for a decade.
I know you've been ready for the trip. Yeah.
This is a,
This isn't ready.
huh?
This isn't ready.
I know it's not ready yet, it's not here. We got this is, I know Dave's got the first copy of this a while ago back when Rick was here. This is changes at the building department in fees and in policies that we're trying to get in ordinance form to get changed so we can stop collecting yard bonds, stop collecting as-built bonds, stop, kind of make our process a little smoother, which people would pay like a $2,500 escrow fee when they get their building permit for the house, and then they would get occupancy to the house, and then at the time of final completion of yard, driveway, as-built, whatever, they get their $2,500 back. It will create 100 times less paperwork with giving all these bonds and getting the bonds back, and just a nightmare in the building department to, on top of what we have going on, everybody's got to post a bond for driveway, post a bond for this, get it back. There's a folder of things this tall with just 75 copies of paperwork to do all this. So we're trying to come up with some policies that eliminate a lot of the redundant, the double dip, just all the paperwork mess with it. So I need to somehow get your guys' help to get this on the fast track to get it done, because, today we had 54 inspections. It's insane. And tomorrow, there's another 54. So, with what we got going on, this is gonna help. We had some stuff in here we went through with Rick, for commercial building fees. So we have a multiplier in our permit schedule to figure out the cost of them. We also had we wanted to add that between April 1st and November 1st, that you wouldn't be able to get a final inspection without your yard being graded and installed and done. We're going to do final inspections with they're brooming the concrete on the driveways when we're going to do a final inspection. You can't walk on the driveway. There's yards that are 2 feet, 3 feet low, and they're posting a $1,000 yard bond. And these poor people aren't gonna be getting in their houses for, and getting their yards done for another 5, 6, they're just eliminating that from their program because they don't have to have it done.
You can just post a bond and.
Post a $1,000 bond and deal with it later. If you drive through these new areas, there's places that need 3 feet of dirt around their houses with sidewalks, driveways. You know what's gonna happen when they try to put all that dirt in there, over all that concrete to get in there. So it's just something to try to keep us, keep our heads above water, and a lot of these things we just really need to get approved and get done. So I just wanted everybody to kind of look at what we're proposing and whatever we need to do, Dave, to get it moving forward in a direction where we can get, and again, I know it's probably not perfect. I know Rick put this into ordinance lingo, which I have no idea, I don't know anything about that. All I know is that the basis of it, we really need to get done sooner than later, just to help us, make it through this crazy time. So we need to, these are, all these things that we.
This crazy time may not slow down.
Yeah, it's not gonna slow down for here now, for sure, but
this
we
is a
need,
good idea.
these things are just, these are just things that we've been lacking, that we really feel that we need to help us, make it easier, so.
Do we have the capability? I talked to a guy in Rose Garden who said he moved in August and he can't get a mailbox put up. Would that be the developer's responsibility?
Probably.
He's having to go to the post office.
Rose Garden has banks of mailboxes, so, they put in those,
Community boxes.
multiple community boxes, so hard to say. There's a lot of them there. They put up a lot of them early, and they ended up being right in people's driveways and, you know, everything, so it's crazy over there. It's just madness, so. Anyway, whatever you guys can do to help get this bumped up or this, you know, try to get it, we just need to get it done sooner than later.
This will be in the hands of our attorney
That's all I'm
to review it.
I needed a meeting with the last town manager, that didn't happen. I'll meet with the current town manager
Yeah.
and get on it.
Okay.
Will you meet with Dave, Chris?
Just saying.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like I said, I'm just trying to get it done. Just trying to make it an urgency, that's all. One other thing, John just gave me the letter from the Rego property, and this clearly says on it that, they don't have a problem with putting the deck in the easement, but they don't say that they have a problem for, you know, giving up the easement. It is a current utility easement, there's wires running over it, so this letter clearly says that they don't have a problem with letting them build a deck in the easement. But it doesn't say that they would be willing to give up their easement, like
Does this allow for the deck to be built without vacating the easement?
well, that would be, we don't have any parameters for granting a building permit to build a deck in an easement,
But
correct?
did they not already get their permit and then it was rescinded
No.
to build that?
You got a building permit for the house.
Right, he didn't get.
Early on, but didn't show a deck, I think.
Right,
It did not.
The deck was,
I think you're right, John.
Right, there was never a deck shown on the
Right,
original
wasn't
building
on the
plans
original,
whatsoever. It was one of the.
So if they would have to do some work, they might have to tear the deck out, right?
Well, I guess my point is that NIPSCO doesn't have a problem with letting him put a deck in the easement.
Well, we can't vacate NIPSCO's easement.
Right, it's a current active easement, so like, this is kind of putting you back to the square one in my eyes. The electric's still there. And NIPSCO, if NIPSCO said we no longer need an easement here, then that would be a different story.
Well, they need an easement because they have a wire that's
But
18
the
feet
part
above.
of this that is ours, though, is the walking path that's a part of that
Right.
vacated right-of-way that is the town's. Now, if NIPSCO's okay with them building a deck under their power lines, that's NIPSCO's business. We can't vacate or have any
Well, we issue
jurisdiction.
permits, yeah, we do have an involvement in that.
We have an involvement in the walking path part of it.
The building of the deck.
Right, but the deck is gonna
NIPSCO
go over.
utilized the walking path as a utility easement.
Right, but that's our walking path.
Now, wait, does he want to build it on our walking path, or does he
Yeah,
want to?
that's why he wants the right-of-way vacated.
But it's an active utility easement right now, that's the problem. Like, it is the town's walking path, but
Right.
the NIPSCO over the years has utilized it for an easement. So basically, in order to build something on here, that electric needs to be rerouted a different route, and then we're in good shape, then it's not a problem.
But them rerouting is not our problem.
Correct.
I
Well,
thought,
it can be.
not to design the guy's job, but I would have came down that pole, buried it in the ground, all the way to where it ends now, and asked NIPSCO to get rid of that middle pole, and
Well,
then,
again, I just saying, it doesn't say anything
there's no
here about.
danger
Right.
that.
It just says they're cool with putting the deck in the easement, not getting rid of the easement. So I think if you ask them if you were getting rid of their easement that they're using to run their wires, they would have a different answer, is all I'm saying.
Okay.
Just a comment. Thank you.
It's a mess.
Also, just quick, Kiwanis Park now does have playground equipment installed. We're waiting on the rubber mulch situation.
Yeah, and I think Chris wants to put a fence by the railroad tracks, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what we talked about.
And when will the dog park section of that be open? When will the dog park section of that be open, Tim?
The duck.
When?
Yeah.
It's kind of dependent on weather. As soon as it dries out here, we're able to get dirt and stuff in there, it's gonna make a huge difference, but, right now, this time of the year, as soon as we start to get to the point where we get some dirt in there, it rains again, so, it's gonna rely
Or
on that.
snows.
Or snow, right, or something.
All right, thank you. Police Department.
Council, you got our, monthly calls for
Okay,
service.
that's enough from you, you have enough already.
Real quick.
All right, I'll go ahead and take over from here.
You can see we're averaging about 33 calls per day, with the department. 1,057 calls for service, 2,900 total for the year. 126 state tickets were issued, 34, town ordinance tickets were issued in the month, for a total of 433, for the year. We had 333, state violation warnings were issued. 60 town ordinance warnings issued for a total of 934 for the year. We've had 31 arrests, 68 total charges, for a total of 92 arrests and 167 charges for the year. And I'm done.
Thank you.
We need to write some more tickets to pay for it.
Chief Wilkening?
First, I'd like to make a request that the police department, the cops become firefighters now, so we can,
Hey, when the new public safety building is built, will they be able to use your recliners?
yes.
Okay.
We did check to make sure, duty gear would fit in them.
Okay.
They're extra wide for police officers here.
Just making sure, is there plenty of room for activities?
Plenty of room for activity, yeah.
For training.
The fire department's, pretty close to being done spec'ing the truck and ready for review. So we'll be asking probably sometime in June to send it out for, bid. Right now, as of late, we just found out that they're at every bit of 24 to 40, or 24 to 36 months out on a delivery of a new fire truck, so we're 3 years away. So we really need to get at least in the pipe. We'll probably be due to do the same with an ambulance, not this year, not next year, but the following year, because the ambulance that we need to replace is literally falling apart. The public safety building meeting, K2M it was an amazing process that we went through yesterday to watch how they manipulated the meeting to get us to think outside the box so that we weren't walking around picking all the luxurious stuff that should go into the building and become very conservative. And everything that we went through was all conservative at the end of the day, and it still was quite a bit. But I've never been part of a process like that as far as getting the vision down on paper. It was really kind of cool. So I think the group that we hired as of tonight is gonna be able to help us put a really fine product out there, so.
We have a great project team with them and Veritas and.
Veritas was helpful too.
Yeah, we've got an awesome team putting together on this.
Yes, agreed.
So I'm very optimistic that we're gonna get something done here pretty soon, so hopefully we can get that going in the pipe. We're at about 500 calls for the year, first quarter, which is definitely up. And things are still, I mean, we're moving pretty fast. We want to do a dedication to the tanker. We're having a few minor issues with it, so we want to do a dedication, get it soon. It did go on its first fire and worked fantastically, but Freightliner's having some issues with codes and stuff, so we're getting those worked out right now, and a couple other small minor stuff, but we're gonna be nailing down the date to do the dedication on the truck here in the next, I would say 30 days now, once we get the other stuff done with it, so. I wanted to have it done by now, but it's been little things here and there, so. Our rescue tools, we ordered, we're on back order, we still don't have them. So we were told 2 weeks ago they'll be here in 2 weeks. Then prior to that, we were told 2 weeks, and now 2 weeks, so. Once we get those, hopefully they'll come at the same time that we dedicate the truck, and we can display everything at the same time. Also let the public come in and see some of the improvements to the station once it's gonna get nicer out, so. That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. We have written communication, an ARPA funds letter from Commissioner Tippy. I won't read the entire document, but what this stems from is back last year, we were told of a possible opportunity to solicit some funds from the county council for our lake ecosystem restoration project that would have been derived from their distribution of ARPA funds. Myself and town manager Everly, as well as the town engineer Jed Anderson, attended. You were invited as well.
I was on the phone, I was driving.
and as well as numerous county officials. In coming back from that meeting, I was notified by Commissioner Tippie via their attorney that those are impermissible transfers to municipalities. So he wrote this letter. It says it lists letters in response to many requests from municipal officials regarding the distribution of Lake County ARPA funds. As you are aware, ARPA funds are provided by the federal government with some unusual strings attached. For ease of reference, I'm attaching 3 items for your review. These are May 12, 2021 memorandum from the Indiana State Board of Accounts, which provided guidance to local government units with the procedures to be followed to establish an ARPA plan to be followed. A letter from County Attorney Matt Fetch regarding permissible uses of ARPA funds, and an explanation from Baker Tilly regarding the $10 million amendment. I highly recommend that you ask your legal and financial consultants review these documents as well as referenced legislative sections. Please feel free to contact Attorney Fetch for further information. It is important to note that ARPA funds that are distributed in a manner that are not permissible must be returned to the federal government. Because the county has received a large sum of funds, the Board of Commissioners is required to submit a detailed auditing for each accounting period. All fund expenditures must be justified and in accordance with the adopted ARPA plan. Municipalities receiving funds from the county that are not permissible will be required to be returned the full fund amount to the county. As you are also aware, the ARPA legislation requires the Board of Commissioners to approve a spending plan. A plan that has been approved by the Commissioners and does not include any transfer of funds to municipality. Questions have been raised about a county ARPA grant program and a call for projects to municipalities. The Commissioners are not aware of any such program. We reached out twice to the County Council Attorney on this matter, requesting copies of the request for proposals from the various communities in their respective districts, and still have not received a response. We believe that no such program ever existed. The Lake County Board of Commissioners is proud of our relationships with municipal governments. We want to assure you that it is our intent to continue the effort. We look forward to working with you on projects in your city and town, but we must stay within the boundaries of law. Please feel free to contact me with any questions, requests for further information. Sincerely, Jerry Tippie, Lake County Commissioner, 2nd District, and copied on this was Matt Fetch and Dave Uran, as well as city and council presidents in the entire 2nd District. So this is just to kind of put to bed this idea that there was some pot of gold out there that the council could just discretionarily give to communities, and unfortunately, Crown Point thinks they're getting $5 million, and Lowell thinks they're getting $2 million, and that's not going to happen by this letter. So it's, you know, after we had that initial meeting and sought advice from our own financial consultants, they said, no, this is not going to happen. So we didn't pursue it any further at that point. But that's why we didn't pursue it, not because we don't want to solicit funds for our projects, but because it's not allowed. Very simple. But that was a letter from Commissioner Tippie. Item 2, Building Department reports. Where are we at here on permits so far?
86.
Oh, this is different looking.
Yeah.
And for anybody in the public that wants to see that packet, it's 10 pages worth of information. You can go on our website and download this council packet that will have that included from Commissioner Tippie. That also cites all the federal code. So where are we at here? January we had 16, February 34, and March 37. So a total of, what is that, 87?
96.
Huh?
96.
180.
I see.
One commercial, 86 houses.
Yeah. Yeah, so new construction permits, 86 residential, 1 commercial. Wow, we are on quite a pace. Holy smokes. And the total of all permits that includes other permits is 96 total, grand total of The value of new construction is $22,714,941. All other permits, $2,512,638.00. I can't read tonight. Christopher Burke Engineering Report. Any highlights in that, Chris?
I tried to highlight them in my manager's report,
Okay,
on task and on time with all Christopher Burke's projects.
very good. All right. Open public comment. Mr. Becker, you jumped up out of your seat with vigor and purpose.
I got 2 o'clock in the morning. How you doing? Chuck
Well.
Becker, 6100 West 136th Place, Cedarville, Indiana.
Thank you for your patience, Chuck.
What's going on with the Woodland Shores drainage problem? Back last year, Rick was trying to get a grant, try to get some money from the government, try to fix the drainage problem. I've been to storm board meetings. It's basically up to you guys now.
We don't have any information.
Yeah, I don't think we've got
Tom
anything.
Oliphant's working on it, right?
Okay,
Because you said it's gonna cost quite a bit of money.
okay.
I've been dealing with this for over 30 years.
Let me ask you a question. When you bought this is a home over here, right?
Yes,
When you bought that, was that tile that runs through there already there?
it was there, but I didn't know it was there until they tied into it later when Jerry Riley was, on the town council.
Who tied into it?
The town. Town council,
Who tied into it?
the town. There was drain across the street, and it was like 2 foot higher in my yard. Well, it kept getting flooded. You know, you go down the whole road, it's 14 acres, between 10 and 14 acres. I got some notes from Don from the storm board meetings. I don't have enough for everybody, but it's between 10 and 14 acres. Said there's not enough drainage for the whole subdivision. And then yet, this last year, we just proved another empty lot to get built on. So it's gonna add more impervious.
Well, none of us here approved that.
Correct.
Okay.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But, like I said, that's gonna be a problem if they build on that, because it's already says it's inadequate. And then, here it is, you know, we're adding more to it. And then, when Jerry Riley was on, they tied in to the clay tile, which runs directly underneath my house, to the drain behind my house. The drain to 136th Place.
So how would our town officials have known that that tile existed, but you didn't?
They just knew, they did the tap, they did the smoke test and the dye test, and that's what they did, you know, to try to fix the problem.
Did you live at that residence at that time?
Yes.
Okay.
And then, like I said, then they attempted to do, when Denny was town council president, they did the subdivision, the drainage.
Yeah, the curbs.
The curbs.
Yeah.
And, well,
Catch basins.
and then they were supposed to do a 16-inch drain going from behind my property to the next street over. Well, I remember, because I work midnights, you know, during that, I'm like, wait a minute, that's no 16-inch drain, it's like a 10-inch. And then McAllister was like, yeah, they decided, you know, to cut it down because it was cheaper. They saved a couple $100 by doing it with a smaller drain, smaller pipe. You know, it's gonna cost more labor, you know, to redo it. They saved a couple $100 by putting a smaller drain. So they had two 6-inch tiles going into a 10-inch, two 8-inch tiles going into a 10-inch drain. Tile going to the south.
Okay.
It was supposed to be 16. Then it goes out, and it affects my house, the neighbors to the west, and the neighbors to the south of me. said they've been up here, they got pictures, I got pictures from them, you know, them people kayaking in their yard.
So we don't have any report yet from the engineer on that? We haven't seen any report on it?
Don said he's already showed it, and it's like $250,000.
We haven't seen any proposals.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen it yet.
Yeah, but there again, Randy, I talked to you about this, and you said you were gonna see if we could do something else because we didn't get the grant.
Well, right, but we haven't seen any proposals of engineering projects, right?
Yeah, you asked Don to come up with another solution because that was too much money.
Right.
Yeah, and years ago, it wasn't to save money on the pipe. I thought it was, we were going to also do the subdivision, the additional drains south of there. And I believe we were below lake level at that point. It was something complicated going on, where we needed a lift station, it was a big time.
They did it, and they only did half the curves, and they stopped for, 10 years?
Here's the other trick.
We bonded for what we could bond for at the time.
The other trick to some of this is we actually created a policy in the last couple of years where when there are certain stormwater projects that we're doing on a person's private property, that we have a cost-sharing program. Now, the old way was, if it's on your property, it's yours. Right, so we did something that was a little more of, hey, you know what, if there was something that was either an approved project that created a drainage issue or a project that created a drainage issue, we were looking to partner with people rather than just pinning it all on a property owner. So without a proposal in front of us, it's hard to say what the right answer is. Chuck, I don't know if we can give you an answer tonight.
Well, when I asked Don, I go, how could they put my house right on top of the tile? And see, that house was, that subdivision, been redeveloped, or, re-subdivided 3 different times.
Yeah,
And it got lost.
It was pre-Cedar Lake.
Right,
Sure.
It was 19,
The county.
But until we have some idea from Don of what can be done in a reasonable fashion, we can't debate or do anything with this until we have something.
I know, but if you can understand where I'm going, I've been coming up here for 30+ years. Oh, we don't have the money for that. Oh, we don't have the money for that. Oh, you know, 30 years.
I don't think anybody here ever said that to you.
Well, I come up here before, and I said, you need to fix the road the right way, because they always done it the cheap way.
Well, everybody has that opinion that we're not doing things the right way,
Well,
but we're doing it by engineering standards, by NDOT standards, and by drainage standards, so.
because you got an A, B, and C.
I'm just saying, Chuck, but we hear that all the time, that you're not doing it the right way. Well, people all have their opinions, okay, but we have to rely on our engineers to put together things to meet certain standards.
I understand that, but then you have the budget costs. And so you look at budget A,
It all has
budget
to
B,
match.
and budget C. And it's always been budget C, the lowest.
It hasn't always, if you look at the projects we've done around here, we haven't skimped on them.
I'm not saying everything in the town. I'm just talking about my experience, what I've seen, just like that 16-inch pipe, they reduced it down to a 10-inch pipe. Now I'm calling them on the phone, I'm like, well, what's going on? Well, it'll work, 2/8 going into a 10, it'll work. That's what the engineer said. I'm like, Jack Halls used to live in the house behind him. That was his house that was behind me, used to get flooded all the time.
I can't speak to what happened 15 years ago here.
But I'm telling you what's going on right now. It's constantly getting flooded. Anytime we get a heavy rain. And like I said, now we got the empty lot, the outlot, just got approved to get built on. Well, if they're gonna add on to it, that's more drainage that I'm gonna get, you know, more water I'm gonna get. So it's already here, it's on notes, Don said, it's already undersized. Way undersized already, 10 to 14 acres, he says on here. Where it says, you know, we're draining through an 18-inch pipe.
So
For the whole subdivision.
What is it that we can do to help you tonight, Chuck?
Come up with a plan, try to get that pipe out of there, or do something, put another pipe on the side of it, just try to drain, help with the drainage.
But this council relies on engineers to come up with that plan. And from what Bob said, there's an engineer working on alternative plans, because the first plan, we flat out don't have the money for.
Chris, can you get with, just see where we're at, where he's at, just so we can get educated and then,
Money and
And
stuff
I think what
is
Chuck's saying is,
finite
hey,
in government.
let's
So-
just keep it on the radar, not let it fall.
Yeah, I do know it's already on John's radar.
I've watched a lot of these meetings, Chuck, so I know what's going on.
I'll see where he's at.
I'm not saying that your feelings are wrong or anything, but it's a little more complex than just, let's just do it.
Well, I understand it, but,
We-
how long am I supposed to wait? 30 years.
Well, there's some people that have been waiting for 50 years to get their roads paved, and we're just getting to them. And some of them we haven't gotten to yet.
I don't think you have to, October.
So I'm not discounting your approach here, Chuck, but this group here can't just make that decision tonight and vote on it and say, we're doing a project.
I'm not
No,
saying
but we can
do
have
it
Chris
tonight.
get with Don.
Sure. And I've spoken with Don personally about this. And due to the historical nature of some of this stuff, there's only so much we can do. Some of buying a property is also buyer beware too. It's not all on the town to take full responsibility for the whole thing either, Chuck. That's the difficult part of this. Nobody wants to hear that. But when somebody has a puddle in their yard, it's not the town's problem to take care of their puddle.
Well, if it was just a puddle in the yard, I can care less about a puddle in the yard.
It's an analogy, okay?
But
But every time somebody has a puddle in their yard or driveway, they're wanting the town to do a whole drainage project to fix that puddle, and that's just not
But
possible.
it's one that's coming through the house.
Right, but that was built into the house, that tile. The house was built over it, you didn't know about it. We didn't build the house, the town back then.
The old town council president built the house, Bob Brandon.
He's been dead a while.
I know, but he's the one that built the house. And he's the one that always got, do whatever you want.
Well, that was the old days.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when our engineer says that he's gonna work on something, he's gonna work on something, but we have to wait for that report. I appreciate you coming here tonight and giving us this stuff, but there's nothing we can do until we get some ideas from Don of what we can do, and then we have to look at it to see if we've got the funds to do it.
I keep telling, go to the stormboard meeting, okay, go to town council meeting, go to the stormboard meeting.
Who tells you to go to storm board and town council back and forth?
I was told by town council members to go to the stormboard meeting, and then I go to the stormboard meeting, they say go to town council. Because it's up to you guys, because they don't have the money.
Well, usually the
Well, what we did,
regulates and tells us
what we
to do.
did, we asked Rick Everly to apply for this grant to try and buy the house.
That was all last year.
And that wasn't accepted.
Okay? So, we need to figure out where Don's at on this thing, if there's even a possible project. And what if he says, you know what, there's no possible project that you guys can afford, then what do we do? Because we just,
I just asked him
tonight,
to plan B.
we just approved road projects that include stormwater funds in it. Without the stormwater funds, we can't match the community crossings grant, we can't do the road project. So, it's one of those things, Chuck, where it all ties together. It's part of a big puzzle.
I understand, but for the last 30 years, we don't have the money, we don't have the money, we don't have the money. And this community's growing, they're getting money, for permits and everything else, storm board,
And
storm board, fees and everything else, they should have something.
Our stormwater fees, right now, our stormwater funds are barely in the black.
They're
Because of how much,
quickly depreciating.
because of how many projects we've put against it in debt service. So those fees we're not sitting on a giant pot of money. Yeah, we're collecting miscellaneous revenues from building permits, and those two gentlemen over there in police and fire are using a whole bunch of it to manage the public safety of our community. So it's not like we're just sitting on all this money. The stuff that we spent tonight in water utility, road projects, sewer utility, police, that's all stuff that, doesn't relate to stormwater. So
Good.
it's not.
There's gonna be a problem when they allow that empty lot to build on that empty lot, that it's already undersized.
So
They're gonna-
who issued that building permit?
I don't think they issued a building
Not yet.
permit, correct, Tim?
But-
And they're not going to do that unless they have proper storm drainage, right?
For,
That lot that they.
Oh, Cedar.
I was told that that lot was on such of a grade anyway that a house built on the house property or not was not gonna change the difference in water. It's on a hill.
It's on a hill that's gonna run down towards
But
the
it's already
drainage,
running
the
down.
same storm system
Exactly.
that I'm at. So if you're adding more water to it, how is it not gonna affect it?
But you're not adding I mean, a good flat surface is impervious surface that water soaks into the ground. A hill, there's very little water that's even soaked into a hill, so there's.
Could be less.
Change of building a
If
house.
you had a driveway and a house, impervious, concrete, you got
But when you
a house.
excavate, make the front yard flat, what Tim is saying, now water has time to sit and sink in. I mean, it's.
You've seen the property, it's not flat, it's going straight down, it's gonna go to the drain that's behind my house, which,
Yeah, I
on the
mean,
hill, that's when you get drained in already.
we're trying to
So
do
unless
that
you
plan.
pipe it directly out to the lake, that's the only way it doesn't affect it.
Yeah, I personally think, like I've said many times, and I think I've said it here, I think the solution is, your house and maybe another house needs to be a retention pond, or you gotta pump that water up into the lake, because I believe we're down below lake level. So gravity is only your friend so long. And it's unfortunate that back in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, people did what they did here, but the costs of fixing that will outweigh the price of your house. So, that's my gut, just from looking at it, walking it with you a couple of years ago. We're waiting for Don, we're not trying to blow you off tonight. Chris is gonna get with Don to kind of give us an informed
But I'll tell you, John,
decision. I know you were at the meeting, at Stormboard meeting a few months ago, but we're not in the business of buying people's houses. This is very complicated.
No, I'd rather you guys just put
Yeah,
the other drain there, put it next, if there's an 18-inch pipe going there now, put another 18-inch pipe next to it.
yeah, it's more complicated than that. Once we get a report,
I'd rather you guys do that. Put two 18-inch pipes next to each other,
there was a big cost.
and they come through.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, we can't do it, as engineer here tonight.
But if you build on the top of that property, it's gonna affect me. And it's already undersized, it's already stated, it's already undersized for 10 to 14 acres, you're draining. You only have an 18-inch pipe, which is not acceptable to today's standards.
Yeah,
And then you're gonna add another house to it?
but Chuck, all those people up on that hill, they can all go to Home Depot tomorrow, buy pavers. People do not need a permit in our town for pavers, for example. They can put pavers in, and everybody without a house being built there could theoretically add. So all these hypotheticals are what they are. I mean, we have.
But John, it was
The
an
water
outlot.
drains off at that
It
rate.
was an outlot,
That drains off at that rate.
and
You should have bought it.
you approved
You should have bought it.
for $189,000 for an empty,
I'm just
for an
saying,
outlot?
it's a person's lot, we couldn't stop him from selling it.
You could prevent them from building on it when
I don't know that we
until they
can.
get proper
I don't know
drainage.
legally that we can.
Chuck, I don't
This is
think
a
we
bigger
can give you the
picture
right
than
answer tonight. I understand your frustration, we're taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Said 30 years. How long am I supposed to be patient for? 30 years, I've been patient. Oh, we gotta do smoke test, we gotta do dye test, we got, oh, we don't have the money this year. Oh, come back, next year when we have more money. I keep coming back. I keep getting blown off, time and time and time
Is
again.
anybody blowing you off tonight?
No, but, eventually, yeah, because, come back and wait till we see the engineer, because the
Okay,
engineer's
then
gonna
let's
give
put
you
it
a
up for
price.
vote tonight. Let's engineer a project right here and let's vote on it. Is that what you want?
Well, no,
Okay, then what are we supposed to tell you?
but I'm just saying, every time I come up here, they said, we'll have the engineer look at it, and do the storyboard meeting, you know what, it's gonna cost too much money.
Chuck, you're on our plan commission, you know how this works. Chris is our town manager, you know Don Oliphant. and the Burke.
And he said he's already come up and talked to you guys about it, and it's gonna cost too much money.
Chris is going to get with him, let's regroup on this,
We
we're not
can't
gonna
print
blow it
money
off.
like the federal government.
We're not gonna blow it
I understand,
off.
but when I see other people's projects are getting taken care of, you know,
It's not other people's projects. We're not doing projects for
not
individuals.
for people, no,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, other
That doesn't
subdivisions.
happen anymore.
Wrong words,
Yeah. I don't like those words.
wrong words, my apology. But, you know, I'm getting frustrated, I'm sorry.
Hey, I get it.
You know,
I'm frustrated
30
with it
years.
too, Chuck, because we can't give you the right answer. I don't know what to tell you to make you happy tonight, because we just can't.
You're not alone though, in our community, I hate to say it. It's a lot of.
Ignoring the problem is not gonna fix the problem.
Nobody's ignoring anything.
I know, but for 30 years, that's what they've been doing.
Okay, the only person that's been here for 30 years is Bob, okay? The
I've
rest
been here
of
on
us,
multiple town councils,
right.
members, you know, not.
I don't know all the circumstances that went around building that house, who approved it, who did what, who dug this hole, who did that hole. All we can deal with is what we have today, which is our engineers doing an analysis on it and giving us a recommendation. When they give us a recommendation, then we can look at, okay, can we expend certain funds for that? Then we have to make some decisions. That's it. And it's gotta be a project that's developed on a neighborhood basis, because if it's just to fix your problem, then that's your project.
Right,
Yeah,
but it involves at least 3 houses.
okay, then that is something that our engineer can look at, but we can't act on it until we have those reports. Until he says, I have a project proposal, here's what we can do. And we haven't seen that.
Chris is gonna look into it with Don.
So I thought you guys had already been priced to this.
No, if we would've, it would've been on our agenda for consideration. We don't often just have stuff come in and say, yeah, I don't like that, so we're gonna put that in the bin over here. That's not what we do. When people come in with
When I
requests.
asked Don about for it, he said he approached you guys, he already told you guys about how much it's gonna cost us, you know.
That was the big project, but we'd asked him to get back to the drawing board to see what he could come up with. And he said he would try something to see if he could engineer something, but he wasn't real hopeful that he could. So,
Even if they could bypass, you know, on the side of the house, whatever, and then going straight up, you know, tying into the other pipe, and then going 2 18-inch going out there, it's gotta be cheaper than, you know.
we'll let him give us a report, Chuck. It's no different than when, in the Plan Commission, when he's looking at plats, right? You've got to consider the engineering on things. That's just how this works. This body cannot usurp that process, and we're not going to. So, I appreciate it, Chuck, thank you. Any other public comment? Lucy?
How old is that hat? 30 years old?
Maybe 10.
Again, we appreciate your patience, thank you.
Oh, thank you, poor man. I know, I used to live down in Samava where Rain Denny flooded.
Your name and address, please, for the record.
My name is Lucy Jane Griffin, 13704 Birch Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana.
Thank you, Lucy.
Now, Colleen, Ralph Miller, and Mr. Sharp.
Yes,
You guys were the ones who planned the park for Kiwanis,
We had a
right?
lot to do with the planning, yes.
Okay, you did the planning of it?
We had a lot to do with it, yes.
Why? Okay, listen. A water fountain is in the park. It was there before you guys did your planning, to drink from. There was a bench in the park over by Mr., I think his name is Charlie, his house. Beautiful, beautiful. I think it should be, what do you call those things? Should be a bed and breakfast house. Beautiful, yummy. Anyway, there was a drinking fountain there, and the Boy Scouts did some brickwork on the ground near where the water fountain is, and there is a bench there. I thought at least they would put the kids' park, the tot lot, Well, my grandkids are really upset, great-grandkids. It's for 2 to 5-year-olds.
Right, we need places for.
Well,
students.
they are, well, she was only 3 when she came there, okay, 3, 4. Well, what about the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and old people?
We intend to put a basketball court over there as well, and a pavilion. That park is far from done, it's just begun.
Why did you put the kids' playground right next to the railroad track?
Not right next to it, it's close, we will have a fence or something there eventually, the park is not complete. The park is still in the beginning stages, and...
Who designed it? It's...
So first of all, if you have a 2 to 5-year-old playing on a playground, I would hope that there would be a parent there.
Well, I hope there would too, but...
But if there's not, then that's on the
They're
parent.
older now, huh?
That's on a parent, if they're not with their 3 to 5-year-old.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that you got is for little tiny kids. Well, their parents, I mean, kids have said to me, well, what are they gonna put for us?
Basketball court is going in,
Uh-huh.
and a pavilion for the parents to be able to relax under shade. The park is
Okay.
not complete, we're just in the beginning stages of getting
And
the
is
park
that
built.
dog park gonna be right in the middle there?
Yes.
That is the ugliest thing. And nobody, you see, once a week I see somebody.
It's not open yet.
It's
It's not open yet. Well, the park is not.
People going in there with their dogs.
Well, they are, but it's not open.
Okay, and so, guess where the water fountain is?
The water's getting moved, everything's getting moved.
Oh, okay. Well,
And there will be benches and picnic tables under the pavilion.
okay, well, all right, if I'm still here then. I don't plan on living too much longer.
Well, I hope you're here to see it.
Well,
It's in the beginning stages.
to say.
why? I want to go to heaven. I'm through with
Amen.
this earth. Believe me, I've had it.
This is the first time in my 12 years I've heard a public comment. I'm going to say that they're done with this joint.
Well, no, and I enjoyed this earth.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
I mean, God is waiting for me, and I'm going to go up there, but, you know, he can take me tonight, he can take me tomorrow. You know, once you hit 80, that's it, you know. So, okay, well,
I'm not feeling real good
the
tonight.
kids will wait. The kids will have to wait. I won't be here when probably this stuff comes.
The basketball equipment's been ordered. It's just a matter of, we can't work in this weather, we're getting all this equipment in, and it's slowly coming together.
Well, if you can't get the basketball courts, you know what would be nice is a wiffle ball.
We're gonna get wiffle ball in one of
You
the
know what?
parks, not that park, but it's going in one of the parks. I'm not sure where.
Because I know old people like to play that.
Yes, we're putting it in. It's
Oh.
all in the works. There's like 5 parks we're working on right
You mean
now.
pickleball?
Or pickleball, yes.
Pickleball, yeah.
Pickleball, sorry, wiffle ball.
Yards are
Wiffle
only
ball,
played
like,
in kids.
All right, what else is going in,
I think mostly right now it's pavilions, couple basketball courts around town, and the tot lot playground.
I can't understand why you built a great big fenced-in park for dogs.
It's because a lot of people want it. It's a very
A lot of people want it, where are they coming from? Beacon Hill?
I don't know where they're coming from, but they want it. It's a big thing, it's a very big thing in town.
Yeah, they're coming from
It was-
other fancy places.
Well, they're not coming from Winding Creek and around there.
Oh, there probably are some. But either way, so all 5 parks, I believe there's 5 that are being worked on right now.
Well,
Just a work in
too
progress.
bad we had to get the dog park. Isn't there any other place you could have put that
You
bloody
did
dog
my
park?
open spot for it in the center of town.
Well, I don't have a dog, I mean, I don't
Well, I
have,
understand, I don't either, but I've had people that don't want playground equipment because they don't have kids. So you can't make everybody happy. I've been yelled at over everything.
can I tell you something?
Welcome to
11
the
years,
council.
Right.
11 years ago, that was supposed to be a playground for the kids in there.
No, I know.
That's why,
I was on the park board or town council then.
pardon?
I wasn't on the council or the park board then.
Well-
I understand, you've been waiting, but we're working on
And
it
that,
now.
my kids are gone, well, they went off to Indianapolis, they're going off to school and they stayed that way, they wanna stay back.
Sure.
Now I got all these great grandkids, so, anyway, what's the use?
Thank you for coming.
It's,
Hopefully you get to see the progress.
oh,
Lucy, don't go dying on us,
Ugly
all right?
dog park.
Don't go dying on us. I don't wanna have to mow your house.
I think the one over in Lowell is that, what's the name of that park?
Freedom Park.
Freedom Park, yes.
And that's a pretty big park.
That is a big park.
It covers a lot of stuff.
Thank you, Lucy.
Oh,
I hope we see you
Thanks,
again.
Lucy.
I'm not coming no more.
All right.
I'm not gonna go meet your new park people.
Okay, they're really nice people, but we'll
Yeah,
tell them
well-
you said hello.
I hope they fix it.
Is there any other public comment?
Oh, wait a minute, I forgot it. When are you gonna fill this hole in my street?
In Birch Street?
Yeah. Every month we get potholes. I don't know where they're coming from.
Probably from the thaw and the rain.
The rain, yeah.
You might guess.
The weather.
Well, there's a one big one down the street. It's, all right.
Thank you,
Get that one
Lucy.
taken care of tomorrow.
Thank you.
Mary Jo, the floor is yours.
Oh, Lord.
Hurry up, Mary Jo.
You're all getting paid now.
I'll take all the time I want.
Mary Jo Dixon, 8711 West 132nd Place. I just have a question, it might be in the packet for what you're talking about, the fees for the clubhouse for alcohol waiver request. Is there insurance required with this too, or do we take the liability of insurance for people drinking in the facility? We as meaning the town.
There's an agreement they sign, I think, when they rent it, is that correct, Chris?
I believe so.
Yeah, there's
I've never
agreement
rented
that's signed.
As of right now, I believe the agreement stipulates no alcohol use.
I think we're changing that last year.
If we
Talked, we talked to legal and Bill Fisher, and as long as it's under 75,
No, legal department.
the legal department over there, as long as it's under 75 people, we don't need an officer, and I believe we have them paying, if it's over 75 and they need an
Is there a
officer,
whole
they have
harmless
to pay.
in that agreement?
Yeah, but the insurance was not.
If that was the policy.
Yeah, there's a whole
I
policy to be
believe
insured.
We did change
before
that.
There needs
we're
to
up
be.
to-
Okay, well, we
Yeah.
might need to look
There
at
needs
that,
to be insurance.
Yeah.
because that was
Just a
changed.
suggestion.
Same as the town grounds.
Yeah, we have insurance, so.
No,
When
I
you
know
have
you
the-
have insurance, but.
No, when you have Summerfest, you have to have a,
Correct, but these
Umbrella.
people do not, and I'm trying to protect them.
we're gonna pull this, we'll pull it. I believe there's a stipulation in there.
Because even if you rent any,
Yeah,
you know, if you're
anyway,
at the Eagles, you have,
Yeah.
or if, unless you're a member, you have to bring insurance.
right,
So everybody's, it's not something new, it's just
yeah.
protect yourself.
I think it's in the first one.
Thank you, Mary Jo.
Hope I can fix one.
We don't have a time limit, there's no buzzer here. Any other public comment? Nick?
I live at 27,000 west and 127 place, I'm an eight.
37?
Yeah.
137th Avenue.
It's close.
Close enough.
Thank you.
My buddy Ed got like it's for a police vehicle, like a bumble guard or whatever. My buddy Ed wants to know if the Seal Lake Police Department wants it or not.
What is it?
It's like a push bar,
No. Thank you, though. It's very costly to install them.
Okay, because my buddy Ed's got one in his shop, and he wants to get rid of it.
No, just tell them to scrap it, I'll get more money for the scrap.
So, yeah.
And your roads are super nice, let's hear that.
Yeah, I want to say thank you for the town, for the Shoe Lake, you know, public works and all that, you know, what they done.
How's it feel on your,
How's that road?
how's it feel on your feet?
Oh, yeah, good.
As you set us straight here a couple of years ago, you came here and told us how you twisted an ankle on the road and stuff like that, so.
Oh, yeah, it's, you know, now the roads I gained a little bad, but that's okay, that can be fixed, that means go take, you know. No, it's not quite cheap, you know.
Well, thank you, Nick.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah. They call me the mayor for the Seal Lake, you know.
You are.
I know.
We need to get you one of these, carry it around with you.
Oh, I got one of those.
Okay. Bring it with you next time, you can gavel this meeting close.
Yeah, yeah. The meeting returned.
Thank you, Nick.
And I talked to him, I think that meeting that you guys talking about that local elections or whatever.
Okay.
I will take it, you know, agenda on that one.
Okay,
There you go, I'll make a motion on that.
okay. Thank you, Nick. Any other public comment online, Jen? Okay, thank you. Our next council meeting will not be until Tuesday, May 17th at 7 p.m. due to election day being May 1st. Thank you, everyone, for watching our drama this evening.
Yeah.
And drive safe, tip your way.
You already did it. Yeah, exactly.